but I'm gonna stay
Born
ready. Good morning, or good afternoon. It's afternoon now, and it is 2:07 on April 7th, 2016. Afternoon session of the Volusia County Council. We have a couple of special individuals here. I shall turn it over to you, Madam, our Deputy County Manager.
Thank you. Donna DePeister, Deputy County Manager, CFO. It's always a nice opportunity to be able to recognize our staff and our employees who do what we consider outstanding work. And I have two here today from the Budget Department, Aaron Van Cleek and Jason Lawrence, and Ms. Bong, Tammy Bong, our Budget Director, will say a few words. Thank you.
I was just directing them to stand up and step forward to the table there. We have to recognize you. You have the floor, ma'am.
This opportunity today, Tammy Bong, Budget and Administrative Services Director. As you all know, we have an outstanding budget staff, and due to some retirements, we have a very blessed to have two new individuals join our budget team within the last few months. It's my privilege to introduce, first of all, Jason Lawrence. He is here today to announce that he has been selected from the Florida City and County Management Association as an Emerging Leader Award. He will be recognized in June of this year at that conference. He comes from Leon County, where he previously worked in the budget office. He also had experience working on legislative affairs there and with the Office of the Attorney General. We won't hold this against him, but he is a Florida State University graduate with his master's degree. So we're very excited to have him, and what an outstanding accomplishment that is for him. The next individual that has... The next individual has been a Volusia County employee for over 13 years. He has a big heart, volunteers a lot within our community in various roles, from coaching young children through the YMCA and the Pop Warner programs. And of course, when you have an opportunity to offer those type of services within Volusia County government, he was eager to step up and help with the United Way campaign this year. In doing such, he was able to triple the special event money for that program. And he is also being recognized this year, actually next week, through the United Way Excellence in Volunteering Celebration for his efforts of an outstanding volunteer being honored. So again, I appreciate both of these gentlemen. I look forward to mentoring them in the future and watching their career paths just blossom as they continue their careers in Volusia County.
Do you have anything to say, gentlemen? I'll give you the floor for a couple of minutes.
No, I'm just very grateful to be here.
You have to say your name first.
Lawrence, I'm sorry. Just very grateful to be here and very excited for the opportunity in the budget office.
Cool.
Thank you.
Mr. Aaron?
Aaron Van Cleek. I guess I just want to thank everybody that was involved in the United Way program. We have a lot of county employees that give a lot to the program. Donna DeMarsh Butler, Bobby King, and then the division coordinators, Andrew Kokaitis and Charlie King. I couldn't have done it without them. And Janine Jennings in purchasing. Just those group of people are amazing, and they make the program a success.
Oh. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I guess we'll take a few moments for a photo opportunity and a thank you down the line here. And one is actually in uniform. He's wearing his county pin. The other one is.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to say to you, we have a young man who needs a county pin. He needs to be recognized as a part of county government.
Congratulations.
We're not doing a photo op here?
Yeah,
No. Yeah, we're going to bring them out. Okay, we're going to take a few moments here, and we'll do a photo op. But right. Oh, there we go. Hello. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Ms.
If you
Pfister.
don't mind me indulging y'all for just one moment,
Please indulge away.
a little bit of something to finish up. In case people didn't realize this, something happened 10 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
By the way, he didn't identify himself, but that was Jim Deneen, County Manager.
Wait, did you say in case we didn't know?
In case you didn't know,
How could we not know?
our very own county manager, Mr. Deneen, has reached a milestone in his career with Volusia County government. April 3rd, which was just a few days ago, marked his 10th anniversary here with our government. So one thing I don't think you know, Mr. Deneen, is that you fly with the Eagles. There are some interesting things that happened on April 3rd that we thought we would share with you. In 419, Italius, who I don't even know who this is, ends his reign as Catholic Pope. In 1776, George Washington receives an honorary LID or LLD degree from Harvard College. Don't know what that is either. But in 1882, the American outlaw Jesse James was shot by Robert Ford in his hometown. And then 1964, though, the Beatles, they held the top 6 spots on Sydney, Australia record charts. So I think, April 3rd is a good day overall.
People getting shot, popes retiring.
But we do believe that in spite of those great events that happened on those days, we do believe that Mr. Deneen, we would all agree that hiring him, though, tops all of those.
Oh, thank you.
And in fact, it's so important that I think we should take a moment to look at our monitors and notice that the Daytona Beach News Journal recognized Mr. Deneen as well on Sunday, but took time out and put a little article in Today in History.
You know how old
Today
that
in
makes you feel.
History. 2006, Jim Deneen arrived for his first day at work at Volusia County. So with that,
Slow news day.
Mr. Deneen, from all your peeps here at Volusia County, happy 10th anniversary.
There.
And we look forward to celebrating your 20th.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, at least we didn't have a video.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do you think for 1 minute that Mr. Deneen would have let that date pass without telling
Any of us?
us?
Oh,
any
he
of us?
did. Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that he
Yeah.
told you.
No, he didn't.
If he had an opportunity to talk to you, well, he must not have talked to
I
you.
think I had 6 phone calls from him.
At least. I also had a picture
I got a
of it.
box of Peeps in my meeting, the staff.
So we are so proud of him, and we recognize how fortunate we are in Volusia County to have such a peep as Jim Deneen in our midst.
Now, I
Thank you
just
for
have
your
one.
service.
I have one question. Maybe, Mr. Peister, you can help me out with it. How old is that picture?
I wouldn't know.
10 years old.
Well,
trust
10
me.
years old.
Who knows?
I will tell you, thank you very much. I really appreciate the framing. I thought that was the most unusual thing I've ever had in the paper about me, ever in my career. I will tell you just 2 short statistics. I was going to do this at the end of the meeting. I'll just tell you now. In 10 years, what this is I've been in attendance at 247 today, just here, council meetings, 49 workshops, and 15 special meetings with 16 different council members. And if you figure that the average work year is 252 days, in just council meetings, I've been at 262 council meetings, which means that's like working every day a week, 4 weeks a month, all year, and every day is a council meeting. Sounds like Groundhog Day to me, okay? And
No,
in
you're
that-
not. No, you're not getting a raise.
I know that. And then the other thing is, we added up, I had them add up, the numbers of budgets I've submitted to this council since I've arrived. The amount, when you add it up, $7.5 billion. How many got approved? All of them. Some of them a little tougher than others. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. That was nice.
Okay. Okay, we're good. We're back to work now. That was good. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
Uh,
The next thing I would like to do is, because the council wanted to do this, and we suggested,
oh, the letter.
yes, that you would do this, and I know there may be media in attendance. We have the draft of the letter. We handed it out to you. John here, John, step up. And what I'd prefer we do is maybe have John read the letter. I have it set up so that you all would sign it. That way, because it's hard to see on the monitor, people would know what you sent. John, you want to do that for us?
Yes, Chairman, County Council members, John Cheney, Volusia County Traffic Engineer. Before you is a draft letter. It's being sent directly to the Secretary of Transportation in Tallahassee. What we do in the first paragraph is introduce the safety problem of the crashes, and then we explain the terrible crash that happened this week. The second paragraph states the efforts by the Florida DOT to justify the light and the roundabout, the lack of money that's available, and then our partnership in submitting a request for funding to the River to CTPO. Third paragraph basically says, we can't wait. We need something done now, and request the DOT to go out there immediately and seek out interim solutions that can be done. On the second page, the first paragraph says, we still can't wait for the traditional design right-of-way build that the Department of Transportation normally does, since that will probably take 4 to 5 years. What we're asking them to do is to expedite the roundabout with an alternative construction process, design build. This is currently what's being done on Interstate 4 and Interstate 95, where they basically save a lot of time in compiling and compacting everything to be done concurrently. And then the last paragraph is again stating the reasons why we're submitting this letter to them. Again, this letter is for your consideration.
Okay, I only have one problem with this letter. Last paragraph, do whatever means are available to make this intersection safer and quicker. It shouldn't say and quicker, it should just end at safer, should it not?
I think we were asking them to expedite and do something faster or quicker in implementing the solution.
Yeah, but the way it's written, I think he says, we'll make that minor change.
Yeah, it's just a grammar thing. I do it to you all the time.
No, it's
So
fine.
sorry.
If you approve this letter, and we'll make that change, then what I'll do is have them make that little change, and we will actually circulate it to you. You could sign it now, and we'll get it to the sheriff, sign it, because we want to get it off as soon as possible.
Okay, I will entertain that motion. Motion for approval for Mr. Patterson, second by Mr. Wagner and by Mr. Lowry. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by aye. All those opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Have them correct, and we'll put it around. Make that little change.
Okay. Scratch out that grammar error. Okay.
Mr. Chair, do you want to clean up those last couple items?
I was just sitting there thinking, now, I've been asked by some media outlets, how do they get this?
As soon as he makes the correction, John will pass, after it's signed,
After it's
John,
signed,
we'll make copies.
you'll
to-
get a photocopy.
Well,
Okay?
yeah, we'll copy it and give it to him.
Okay. Okay, very well. Item 15, consent agenda, Affordable Housing Incentive Strategies Report. Donna Butler?
As Donna comes up to the microphone, the next couple items, we thought these were important enough to highlight, even though they were on consent, because these are issues that you want to articulate to the public of things that we are actually very proud of that we're doing. Donna?
Good afternoon, Donna DeMarsh Butler, Community Services Director. You have items both 15 and 16 before you that we wanted to just show off a little bit. The Emergency Home Energy Assistance Program, we call it EHEAP in our offices, provides utility assistance for the elderly. So in addition to what you've commonly heard of, which is LIHEAP, which provides energy assistance to anyone that qualifies, this is specifically targeted for our seniors. And we expect to be able to help about 304 households this year. That's on top of the 4,200 that we normally provide assistance to. So we just wanted to give you that little bit of heads up. That's 304 more people that we're keeping from potentially being homeless in the community.
More.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Third on top of the 4,200.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That's all she's got? I will entertain a motion. We gotta do these, or can we do them all? Well, we'll do them all one at a time. I will entertain a motion. Move approval of Mr. Wagner. Second by Mr. Patterson. Further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by aye. All those opposed. Unanimous consideration.
Yes, sir.
You have the floor still, ma'am.
Okay, item 16 is our budget resolution for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. And I wanted to give you a little bit more update because I think Josh Wagner will remember when we got our ARA dollars, he flat out said, it's a great idea, but it's never going to work. So I wanted to give a recap from whence we came. We received $5 million in change in NSP 1 dollars in March of 2009 and $3.6 million in March of 2011. Since that time, 48 foreclosed homes have been purchased and resold since NSP 1 and 38 foreclosed homes with NSP 3 funds. So we've done a fabulous job, and we agreed with you. We weren't sure that it could happen either, but we were darn sure going to give it a shot, and I think
It
we
just sounds so
succeeded.
much meaner how you said it. I think I was a little bit
I agreed with you.
It was healthy skepticism.
It's almost like an I told you so moment.
Although Pat's version was
Bit of
really
brag.
funny a second ago. I won't repeat it.
So with this action that you're taking here today, though, we're asking for a shift in how we can expend some of these dollars. We are asking to transfer $300,000 into the activity to acquire and rehabilitate foreclosed homes to provide rental housing for low-income households. This enables us to buy the home, rehabilitate it, and give it to a nonprofit that is in the business of doing long-term rental for those low-income households that can afford it. So that's what this change is for. So it continues along the path. We anticipate that we can do approximately 12 more homes with income that is acquired once we sell properties. So that is what's before you today.
One thing I will add to her comments is that a number of council members have said this to me, and the reason we're doing this now, one, I think I've been asked that we ought to tell our story a little better, and especially in this area. I was taken back by the response I got to the report that Donna did on how many people had no idea how much money the county spends at $7 million a year that we do on what's actually 12 if you add up both funds. But a lot of people didn't know, and so what I've decided is that it was right when the council members were saying, let's make sure we highlight so that people know that we are constantly doing things to prevent homelessness. Thank you, Donna.
Just so you know, the intent for this immediately is to be in the Hearst Elementary, now hopefully Hope Place area, so that these homes are cleaning up that neighborhood as well.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, I was
on
just gonna-
behalf of Mr. Wagner, I move approval of the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, plan amendments and appropriation for additional income.
Am I gonna have to separate you two today?
It's my fault, I picked on him.
Okay, Mr. Patterson made the motion of approval, and Mr. Wagner did do the second. Mr. Lowry? I was trying to get to you.
That's okay.
You-
That's no problem. I'm kind of observing the day-to-day. I just wanted to let Mr. Wagner know I do grief and depression counseling. If you need that.
And Ms. Cusack?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you explain to me, Donna, why we could use this fund to purchase homes, but is it possible that and then use them for rental, turn them over to someone for rental? Is it possible then to use these homes, purchase these homes, turn them over to real estate agencies for purchasing?
That is commonly how the program's used. We've actually purchased and sold 48 plus 38 homes, 86 homes. We've purchased them, we've rehabilitated them, and we have sold them to low-income first-time home buyers. That is the primary purpose. However, they also allow this other purpose for them to be used as affordable rental housing.
Yes.
So we're trying to increase the availability of folks that,
So then you're saying to me that it could it's possible then these homes could be, if appropriate, could be sold
Yes,
then, rather
absolutely.
than,
absolutely.
because what we want is first-time homeowners to have. Rental property is great. But if you can own the place, it's even better.
Right.
So this does not eliminate the possibility of doing that.
Absolutely not. We will still be moving forward with that. We just wanted the option, and we're only thinking that there would be a handful that we would move in that direction, and you would have to
Right.
provide permission to do so. through
Actually,
this.
Ms. Cusack, one of the things is that once we did the thing with Hope Place, they believe that the first thing that they need when we graduate people from there with families is to be able to get them in affordable rental property, then to move them to a home. And if we could keep those close to where Hope Place is, they could continue with those services. Now, if, for example, that family was ready to purchase, then we'd have the option to sell it to them instead of rent it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great program.
Okay, so then, all those in favor? Budget resolution, neighborhood stabilization program, plan amendments and appropriation for additional income for fiscal year 2016, please signify by aye. Aye. All those opposed? So carried. Unanimous. Mr. Daniels is not in the chambers at this moment. All right, now we're going to jump all the way ahead to item number 30, resolution adopting public information plan for National Flood Insurance Program, multi-jurisdictional community rating system. Mr. Judge, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Davis, members of the council, good afternoon. Jim Judge, your Division Director in Emergency Management. And before you today, we have a request for a resolution adopting public information plan for the National Flood Insurance Program in a multi-jurisdictional community rating system. And a brief overview is the Volusia County got involved in the National Flood Insurance Program back in 1973. And then in 1993 got involved in the community rating system. At that time, we were a Class 8 within the program. However, in the past few years, we've been able to get that Class 8 down to a Class 5. And with that Class 5 rating, it provides a 25% discount to the homeowners on their flood insurance for the unincorporated Volusia County, which equates to approximately $700,000 in savings. And we are working with within the community, with our municipalities, to have a communications plan that's part of the community rating system. By adopting this plan, will allow us to work with the municipalities in helping them reduce their community rating system. We have a number of municipalities that are 5. I have Mr. Larry LaHue with me from the division, who is our community rating system coordinator. Larry's expertise in this area has helped the municipalities. Again, some of them come down to a 5, but we continue to work with others in reaching that goal of getting to a Class 5. But this is also a partnership between not only emergency management, but public works, growth management, and other areas of the community. So it really is a partnership within the county to be able to not only reach that Class 5, but then also maintain that. So the adoption of the plan is part of the CRS program requirements, that the formal adoption of the plan by all participating jurisdictions for it to become effective. And be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I know CRS means different things to different people. And move approval of the resolution adopting the public information plan for National Flood Insurance Program, multi-jurisdictional community rating systems.
I have a motion for approval.
Second.
I have a second. Thank you. Both my insurance agents did that. I like that. That's cool. Thank you, guys. All right, any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion. Resolution adopting public information plan for National Flood Insurance Program, multi-jurisdictional community rating system. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? So carried, 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Judge. All right, that ends our consent agenda items. All right, we are now jumping to item 38. Mr. Rick Carl, this is a designation of a county enclave in Port Orange as a Florida brownfield area. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Rick Carl, Director of Aviation and Economic Resources. I'm here with Arlene Smith today, who is going to explain. This is a very straightforward request to establish some public hearings for a brownfield request. Arlene?
Arlene Smith with Legislative Affairs and Aviation and Economic Resources. The purpose of today's agenda is to secure direction from you whether or not to proceed with a request for a brownfield designation. A brownfield is an area that is or is perceived to be contaminated. DEP offers cleanup and other incentives for development for areas that are so designated. There is no cost to the county or obligation on the county in any way from this designation. Amir Malik with MetaWorld Civil Consulting, along with property owners Carmen Perillo and Jeff Heidel, are requesting that council provide this designation for 4057 Bruner Road in Port Orange. This parcel is in a county enclave that was formerly used as a landfill. The process involves 2 public hearings, one of which must be after 5 p.m., unless the council waives that requirement by a majority vote +1. If council directs staff to move forward with this designation, we propose the following schedule. April 26th for a community meeting at Atlantic High at 5:00 p.m. May 19th for the first public hearing in council chambers where we can discuss more detail. June 2nd, the second public hearing in council chambers when council will make their final decision. So again, the request today is for direction whether to proceed with this brownfield designation request, and if so directed, for council to waive the after 5 p.m. public hearing requirement in lieu of the dates for the meetings listed above, previously mentioned.
Okay. Ms. Denny's?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we have public input on this, or are we council time? No public input?
I don't have any public input on this.
I do not have any slips either.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just didn't want to comment before that happened. Council, I'm in support of waiving the after 5 requirement, and I make a motion to that effect to waive the after 5 requirement for hearing and a designation of county enclave in Port Orange as a brownfield area. That's my
Okay,
motion.
there's a motion on the floor from Ms. Denny's waiving the after 5 requirement of designation of county enclave in Port Orange
I
as a
need yet-
brownfield.
Before that, Jamie, do I need to make the other motion first?
No, I need a second on this before we go too far. Yes, ma'am?
I want to clarify Ms. Denny's motion. Are you approving moving forward with the brownfield designation and approval of the times and dates as presented by staff?
Yes, as soon as I said that, I looked at you. I thought I didn't add all the legal language to that, but exactly what she said is my motion.
Okay,
And
so,
and
so
that-
if I am understanding, we have to first approve the moving forward of the brownfield designation, then we can adjust the times and dates, correct?
No, and that would include the times and dates, and the
Okay.
times and dates include before 5 o'clock. So if we get a supermajority, then the calendar will be approved.
Okay. All right, so basically, you'd like to change your motion then?
I would like to make it more comprehensive to what Ms. Seaman just stated, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion is approval of the brownfield with the date and time changes recommended by staff. And I have a motion made by Ms. Denny's. I have a second by Ms. Kuzak. Is there further discussion on this matter? See, this is what happens when I try to do 3 things at once. Trying to do everything all at once here. All right, no further discussion. Very well, then. Motion for approval of the designation of county enclave in Port Orange as a Florida brownfield area with date changes as recommended by staff. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. So carried 6-0. You have your unanimous.
Thank you, Arlene.
Thank you, ma'am, for Ms. Seaman for clarifying that.
Okay.
All right. Item 39. Yes, I could do this. Okay, item 39, budget resolution, contract with Wharton Smith, Inc. for construction of the Southwest am I reading the right one? Yeah, Regional Water Reclamation Facility, Biological Nutrient Removal Project, and appropriation of value,
Mr.
of
Chair.
revenue.
Mr. Chair.
It's all yours, John.
Mr. Chair. This item I'm putting here, these are the things that normally might have been a consent type item, but in this case, it's so much money, and it's such a big deal, and it is in keeping so much with your commitment to water quality, that I felt that it should be on here is something that the council would discuss. John?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, honorable council members, John and Julie, Public Works Director. What you have before you today is an agenda item for your consideration. It's an award of a contract to Wharton Smith for the construction of the Southwest Regional Water Reclamation Facility Biological Nutrient Removal Project and an accompanying budget resolution. Now, I'm going to bring Mr. Mike Ulrich up here in just a minute to make a short presentation and explain to you the nature of the project, as well as introduce the team that has been assembled for this particular project, and to answer any questions that you may have. Now, I might note that the month of April marks a statewide awareness to Florida's most precious water, and that is water, precious resource, and that is water. If you recall, this morning, one of the proclamations on today's agenda was the proclamation of April as Water Conservation Month. So Volusia County proudly joins the district, as well as over 40 cities and counties within the region, in efforts to increase awareness regarding the importance of water conservation and increase efforts to conserve water. In addition, the state legislature has declared April as Springs Protection Awareness Month. All water management districts across the state have joined the legislature in recognizing the importance of increasing public awareness about the value of springs. And so it's pretty fitting today that we bring forth, as the slide number 1 here states, goal number 4 of the Volusia County Water Quality Plan is a nutrient reduction and facility expansion of our Southwest Regional Wastewater Treatment and Reclamation Facility. And that is all there for the protection of Blue Springs. So this project is a project that has been presented to council as a part of the Water Quality Plan. I'm pretty proud that the Utilities Division has been marching through those series of goals to accomplish those. And this is goal number 4. So without further ado, let me bring Mike Ulrich up so he can walk through this presentation with you.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon, council members. Mike Ulrich, Water Resources and Utilities Director. I'd like to introduce for you, first and foremost, our project team for this. Actually, before I do that, I did want to make one quick comment. You will recall during an earlier session today, Gray Robinson, when they were up here, they were talking about the significance of the water legislation, which has been happening at the state level. Of course, as far as many of the governor's office, the cabinet, the legislature themselves, they consider water as Florida's greatest challenge at this point in time, both in terms of quality as well as water supply. And so this project actually accomplishes both means. And so I'm very proud to represent this project today. I'd like to first introduce the project team, if I may. The design team is CPH Engineering. CPH Engineering has worked for the county for pretty much since the county got in the business of utilities. President David Girak is here today, along with 2 of the project team members, Rocco Nasso and Ben Freeze, and we're happy to have them here today. Wharton Smith, very experienced firm who will be responsible for handling the construction of this very intricate project, and we're very happy to have Alex Sykes here today. And also in the audience today, I have to extend my special thanks to our funding partners. Nancy Chrisman from the St. John's River Water Management District is here today. And Nancy, we're happy to have you. Casey Fitzgerald from who handles the program funding for the district could not be here today, but he's been an integral part about this entire project. And Mary Bramham is another key person in the district who we've been working with. Also out of Tallahassee, though they're not here today, I can't help but recognize Tom Frick, the FDEP chief responsible for Springs funding program, along with other people who have been down in this area tending to the Springs BMAP process, Kevin Coyne and Moira Rohaus. I'm going to briefly just take you back before I just mention the project. I think it's really, really important for everybody to understand the milestones which the council has achieved in really less than 2 years' time. You will recall, many of you who sat here at the time at the Ocean Center 2 years ago, and conducted the day-long countywide workshop where we had all of the cities as well as the county come and make representations on what they were doing with regards to water quality within their jurisdictions. Our county environmental management staff also identified the various water quality issues that are affecting most of the major water bodies within Volusia County. We had officials from the Water Management District participate as well as the Department of Environmental Protection, and it was a key moment truly. That led to a number of initiatives, and I won't run down all of the line, but what I can tell you is that another key moment also came with regards to the adoption, if you will, of the water quality program that Council approved back in February of 2015. Again, this was a collaborative effort among various staff representatives: Kelly McGee, Ginger Adair from environmental management staff, John and Julie, Judy Grimm, Scott Mays from Public Works. It's an incredible team effort to put together this plan, and it really gave life to our application, which we then submitted in March when we went in front of the St. Johns River Water Management District and talked to DEP. It gave credibility to our cost share program. It was a goal for us to put in this application and say that we would be ready with a shovel-ready project by the time they were ready to allocate those monies, and that was a key thing. And I have to credit CPH Engineering for helping us get to that point. In December, of course, Council did approve a cost share to the sum of $5.5 million in FDEP and district funds. Just a significant award for this project. And of course, the items in yellow are the things that are yet to come. Today, of course, we'll be requesting recommendation to award this contract with plans notice to proceed in a month, and somewhere around 540 days after that, we'll have a completed project. Just going to go ahead and actually there were a few other things I needed to mention on that slide. First and foremost, this project got significant support from environmental agencies locally as well, or I mean environmental groups, if you will. The Blue Spring Water Alliance, the West Volusia Audubon Society. Steve Kintner helped in organizing some of those letters of support and really believed in the project that we were doing here. I'd also like to recognize Rick Carl and Arlene Smith for their work, along with Gray Robinson, at the legislative issues, keeping us really apprised of opportunities that existed along the line. And so now I'll lead you into the overview. Of course, this is a wastewater plant, and this is not exactly an exciting type of project, if you will, but the importance of it is key. And the only thing I really wish to kind of point out to you here is that from the left side is primarily a lot of the processes that take place in trying to take care of that water, to treat it to the levels of environmentally safe standards. The current facility itself has a treatment capacity of 1.7 million gallons per day. I leave this slide here and now show you what's going to have to happen. There's going to be some really important integration, and this is one of the more challenging things about a facility that needs to continue to operate within DEP compliance through the entire process. And so as what we're attempting to do while maintaining existing operations is we intend to add another 1 million gallons per day of capacity and change the nutrient removal process to a 5-stage process. In the process, we've also decommissioned one of our other wastewater treatment plants, another plant which was, while compliant, was not reaching advanced wastewater treatment standards, and we've decided it would be much more efficient to divert the flow rather than have two facilities, close one and divert the flow to the larger one, the more technologically advanced facility. And we've already accomplished that, as a matter of fact. One of the real key things in this process, again, and again, the benefit of having someone like CPH has been with us for years, is how they've managed to repurpose and upgrade most of the existing infrastructure that is actually at the plant right now, which, of course, if you were going to be building a brand new plant from scratch, you could be looking well into $20 million as far as the costs would go for a new plant of similar size. So the funding partners, as I mentioned earlier, the Department of Environmental Protection, as well as the St. Johns River Water Management District. The breakdown you can see as it stands right now. I'd mentioned the $5.5 million which we had received from the district through DEP is in the top two lines. When we had begun this project, we had based preliminary project funding at another $2 million, which we put in our budget, and it became a placeholder, if you will, to let St. John's and DEP to send them a message that we're designing a plant and we're putting our money where our mouth is. And so while we didn't exactly know where the full costs were going to be, we wanted everybody to know that we're in and we're ready to take leadership on this. As the project bid had come in, the total cost of this project is just over $12 million, and I've provided for you the breakdown as to the additional funding which we are bringing forth to make this project happen. The construction period, as mentioned before, is a period of 540 days. Now, the ultimate project benefits with this comes down to, what the main goals of our Volusia County plan was, our water quality plan, which was to improve and preserve the ecosystem, as well as reduce harmful nutrients in our wastewater. Going to advanced wastewater treatment processes, the annual estimated reductions affecting the spring at this point, we are estimating, and I'd say conservatively, I think we may even do better with this project, but approximately 27,000 pounds of nitrogen removed per year, total phosphorus of about 14,000 pounds per year as well. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, by closing the Four Towns plant, we also, by diverting that flow to our plant and creating reclaimed water, we've essentially created additional alternative water supply used for irrigation purposes, and again, to reduce the amount of pumping that we do Blue Spring to meet the requirements of the drinking water demand that we have in the region. Lastly, if I may, I think that another key, which isn't on the project benefits, but is just a result of us getting this grant and moving forward this project, we're already working with Orange City towards some of their economic goals for the region. By being their wastewater treatment provider, Orange City is already working on improvements within their 1792 corridor, which will essentially create a backbone system connecting to ours, which will help them to remove septic tanks along that corridor and encourage additional commercial development within that area and really allow that to prosper. And that's just such a vital thing. This is, utilities quite often, we're not about creating jobs, if you will, but we are setting the table for creating jobs. And that's what you really want when you have a utility that can, have these types of opportunities. And so without, if there's any questions, I think that the only last thing to mention is what we are recommending for this. Staff does recommend approval and award of the construction contract as well as adoption of the budget resolution that is in your agenda packet.
Ms. Denise?
Just two things. First of all, I think council, the best thing that I see here is we've accomplished a goal. We said that Ocean Center, almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago this June, we had a full day of meetings with all the cities, and one thing that governments and bureaucracies get dinged on, and sometimes, usually rightfully so, is implementation. We have meetings, we set goals, but do we achieve them? We're achieving these goals, and this is a big one, so congratulations on that. I think this is huge. I look forward to going forward with this, but can you also explain or clarify on closing Four Towns? In restructuring this or repurposing this, does this mean we're going to close another facility?
No, that's a great question. What our goal was within the spring shed, we had these two wastewater plants, and as they were, I'm sorry, once again, Mike Ulrich, Water Resources Utilities Director. As we were facing the challenge of do we try to bring both of these to advanced wastewater treatment processes, we felt that the more efficient and cost-effective thing for us to do would be to close an aging plant, well, approximately 30 years old, and it was a smaller one. We already had the infrastructure in the ground to just be able to divert the flow and close the plant, and essentially we've just run through a network of our collection systems right to the newer plant. So it was much more cost effective, and now we will just introduce the advanced wastewater treatment at the single plant.
Which is Four Towns.
No, it's the Southwest Regional plant in DeBerry. Four Towns was the one that was closed. I apologize.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
I'm sorry.
You said okay. So I guess indeed, because of this, you are closing Four Towns.
Have already.
Because of implementing this. Is that an accurate statement?
That's correct.
So in closing Four Towns, what impact does that have to us budget-wise? I mean, there's got to be a cost savings to that.
Well, it's true that there's operating cost savings. It was a relatively small plant. The plant that we are diverting the flow to, the one that we have right now, is 1.7 MGD. The Four Towns plant was just a 300,000 gallon per day plant.
I understand.
So the savings probably was in a couple of hours of staff time per day, some electrical costs. I'd say there's probably in $150,000 to $200,000 a year of savings operationally toward that, which is significant.
Plus the fact that you don't have to upgrade the Four
yeah,
Towns plant. What would be the cost of upgrading that plant?
We would have been, David, I don't know, would you wanted to take a shot at that? I mean, I would base that on somewhere in the vicinity of well over $1 million, $1.5 million to upgrade.
I guess, so what are we going to do, George? Do we have any plans with the Four Town infrastructure there? What's going to happen with that?
I think Mike has some plans for as far as retention and stuff, but we're a little open right now. But go ahead, Mike. I think you explained.
No, that's a great point. While the plant itself will no longer exist from the treatment standpoint, we still have percolation ponds that are on that property.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's a very good question.
Thank you so much. With that, I move approval.
Okay, I have a motion for approval. Budget resolution for the contract with Wharton Smith Inc. for construction of the Southwest Regional Water Reclamation Facility Biological Nutrient Removal Project and appropriation of review. And a second by Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels, you wish to have the floor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Mike, I'd like to thank you for your participation in this. I've gotten to know Mike over the last year or so, and you are really one of our terrific county employees. You have really done an outstanding job. You have a very bright future. I'm glad to see the county now going out for grant money again and getting it. And I think we need to be more aggressive about this, not less. And the other thing is that when you do go out for grant money, you may not have needed it in this particular instance. Maybe you did, but you know, these are all technical type things, and that I think the staff should feel free to hire the engineering companies that we have under contract, the ones that are best suited to do it, to go out and fill out the grant applications and to shepherd that through. To the extent that you need it, to the extent that you don't have the in-house expertise to do it, let's get people who really know what they're doing. Because you know how grants are. You hit certain buzzwords and all of a sudden you're ranked high. If you don't, it can be the same project. You can write it up differently and you'll be at the bottom of the list. So that is not to be underestimated. Spending a few dollars with an engineering company to get this kind of money is well worth it. Congratulations, you're doing a terrific job. Got to know you over the last year, and really am impressed, really impressed with your work. Thank you.
And Mr. Deneen.
Just a This is a separate comment to Ms. Denny's comment about the cost savings. Just so everyone understands, every department I have is focused on finding every year cost savings. We do not grow our revenue enough to take care of the increased cost for labor, the increased cost for capital, and the increased cost for a lot of materials and supplies, which now are starting to go up in some categories beyond inflation because of demand. So in essence, everything that Mike or anyone finds in terms of cost savings is replowed back into my approval of what their next year's budget is, especially if they're looking forward to some kind of raise for current employees. They have to be able to find some of that. The days of adding are over. We have to find ways each year. So even though that we have reduced the workforce the way it is, even though the economy is starting to come back, I'm not planning on growing the workforce unless I have to in certain places because I can't afford it. So where we have to pay people and pay increased FRS or whatever, we'll tell you, all the directors are asked to look for whatever cost savings they can find every year. And we plow it back into the operation, especially ongoing, especially if we're going to raise wages.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, budget resolution, contract with Wharton Smith, Inc. for the construction of the SRWRF biological nutrient removal project and appropriation of revenue, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So carried, 7-0. And I guess item 40 is really just, it's a continuation, am I correct?
That is correct. If you like the first one, you'll love the second one because it's a lot less. Mike Ulrich, Water Resources and Utilities Director. Once again, this contract amendment is in association with the construction project. Again, CPH Engineering performed the technical design and the grant assistance for the beginning of this project. Now they will see us through to completion of this project, conduct the project meetings, assure the technical specs are met that they've developed, handle the record drawings. Again, President David Gurok is here today along with his project team. County staff, again, respectfully recommends approval.
Mr. Daniels.
Move approval.
Motion for approval? Second by Mr. Patterson. And do you still wish to have the floor, sir?
No.
Okay. No further discussion. Okay, contract amendment with CPH Inc. for post-design services for the SRWRF nutrient reduction and expansion project. Please signify by aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Thank you very much.
So carried. Item number 41 is amendment to the commuter rail system joint use agreement between the state of Florida Department of Transportation and the city of Volusia and the county of Volusia. John and Julie, you have the floor, sir.
The item for you today is an amendment to the joint use agreement that the county executed with Florida DOT to maintain the DeBerry Station. There was a couple of slides, I guess, in your package. What DOT is in a process right now of expanding the DOT, the DeBerry Station right now, adding 211 more additional spaces, which is to the south of the existing parcel. Let me see if we can get this up here. As you can see on the slide, this particular area right here is the expanded area. This section heading to the north is the existing parking lot. Platform is located in this vicinity. It's a little bit cut off from the picture in the screen, but DOT, this is a fully funded state project. No county money whatsoever. It's a site that originally was designed and planned to be for a retention pond, but there is a DOT retention pond that's on the east side of 1792 that will handle any stormwater requirements of the additional parking lot. The contract, hopefully they'll be done by January 23rd, 2017. I think that date is doable. They're marching right now. The request for proposals are scheduled to be advertised, and we have staff that will be a part of the selection team. Mr. Tim Bailey, who maintains that facility, will be a member of that selection committee, or at least the review committee that will make a recommendation to DOT for the amendment. What it does is it takes an attachment A that was a part of the original agreement that shows the smaller platform and replaces that with attachment B, which shows the larger parking facility. All the other terms and conditions remain the same. So if you review and approve, then we'll execute and send it to DOT for a final execution.
Okay. Ms. Denny's?
Are we doing public input on this? No?
Do we have any public input?
No, sir, we don't.
I normally get the slips before we go there.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, is there anybody who wishes to speak on this issue from the public? Okay, you have the floor.
Okay, on this expansion, this is the DeBerry Station expansion, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And going forward, I guess when the first thing that I looked at it was, and with this other project we just talked about in item number 39, we identified all of our funding partners. And when we do any transportation project, as we know, any transportation project, there are no dollars left. And our word is we're looking for collaboration and funding partners. And to this issue, when I looked at it, my first thing that I looked for was collaboration with a funding partner, the City of DeBerry, and there is none. When we, as a council, agreed to improve Park Avenue and Old Mission Road in the county and the City of Edgewater that desperately needed improvement for safety in that traffic pattern out there in those semis, we sat down, had several meetings with the City of Edgewater, and the agreement was we would pay half and they would pay half. The City of Edgewater came up with $300,000. We matched that $300,000, and since there was collaboration and we had a funding partner on a transportation issue that was important, we went forward very successfully. Here's my struggle. I don't see any funding partnership at all with the City of DeBerry. And Mr. Manager, please tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe we approached them in the past to help us at least with maintaining the parking lot, the existing parking lot, let alone expanding it. And we couldn't even get agreement from the City of DeBerry to help with maintaining the existing parking lot that's called the DeBerry Station. So if we have a city or any organization that's not willing to partner with us and collaboratively, I'm not going to support it going forward. In fact, I think this needs to go back to the City of DeBerry to see if they're willing to do that. And we're looking for income stream, we're looking for partnership. Maybe part of the partnership on this, if you really want to think outside the box, is naming rights of the station. I don't know, Gemini Springs Station or another station, but with what's going on with transportation, and especially Sunrail and expansion, everybody wants expanded services and expanded facilities. They have to come to the table. They have to be a funding partner with us, because those days of funding everything 100% are gone.
What we asked them for originally was to just do the maintenance, because we felt that we were handling everything else. It was in their city. The council was willing at that time to opt to name it DeBerry, and I think we thought that they would be willing to do the maintenance. They rejected that. So it wasn't just the parking lot. There's just ongoing maintenance, and when you're already there as the city, we didn't think it would be that difficult for them. But they didn't want to do it. So now you're adding more maintenance.
Exactly.
So,
no, we're adding
yeah.
more we're adding more maintenance.
If you agree to it, you're adding more maintenance.
If we agree to it, I'm not going to support it at this stage until the City of DeBerry agrees to be a willing partner in the infrastructure for the station that's holding their name. I mean, if it's, and if you go back to the project we did with the City of Edgewater, maintenance on this cannot be $300,000 a year. It can't. So we're not even talking big dollars, but I am looking for good faith and goodwill and collaboration and partnership in any project going forward with this. So that's, I don't know how popular my opinion is or what I'm saying here, but as I'm with no collaboration from the City of DeBerry, I'm not going to support it. Thank you.
It's in the city.
Right, well, let me just say this, is that, I have been down to DeBerry, talked with many of their council members that say, hey, it's right here. It's your train station. Would you please mow the yard at least? And they kind of looked at me like I had four eyes or some crazy thing growing out of the back of my head. This is one of those cases where, as Mr. Wagner put it out earlier today, during our discussions, it's almost like childish action. Hey, we're doing this with you. Come on board and join us. Just mow the yard is all we want them to do. And I have to agree with you. Until they're willing to pony up and help us as a true partner in this project, I cannot support it. I won't support that particular project. Sir?
I'm kidding.
Okay, we're going to get a number of maintenance costs? Okay, we're going to get a maintenance cost for how many couple of bucks it's going to cost to drive a lawnmower over the grass there once or
We'll
twice.
give you what we're paying to maintain it. Minor maintenance on the building, I think trash cans, a couple of
Okay.
things.
Could,
We'll give you we'll have it here shortly for you.
Okay, so might I suggest that I would entertain a motion to table this until we get those numbers back? Would that be a good idea? Would we?
That motion would be out of order. Tabling means you want to put it off to later, just postpone it definitely to later.
Okay, we'll entertain that motion then. And I have that motion from Mr. Lowry. Would you like to second that motion? So seconded. Motion on the table is for postponement of this until we get our numbers. Mr. Daniels? You're on the list here. You gotta have the mic on.
I was going to speak to the motion. Don't agree with, and I'll wait. I mean, I don't agree with us behaving childish just because DeBerry is behaving childish. It's two children together is never a good thing. I understand the sentiment, I really do, but we've got to do what's best for the citizens of Volusia County, and this train station needs additional parking. That's the end of the story. Thank you.
All right, and Ms. Kuzak?
I'll have more to say later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this will come back. I'm just
All
giving
right.
you options.
For right now, I'll just say amen.
Okay. All right, so the motion on the floor is to postpone definitely until we get our numbers. All those in favor, please signify by aye. All those opposed. So carried. We will postpone this until we get our cost. Which will move us on to item 43 because item 42 was withdrawn. Permit to remove a historical tree in Spruce Creek Fly-In. Ms. McGee, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, honorable members of County Council. I'm Kelly McGee, Director of Growth and Resource Management. The item that we're going to show you on the overhead can be found on page 43-5 of your agenda item. The item before you today, the Spruce Creek Property Owners Association is requesting a permit to remove a historic tree and utilize on-site preservation as mitigation for this tree's removal. The tree is in poor condition and therefore staff does not object to its removal. Our county forester and our arborist have both been on site to take a look at this tree. I believe Mark Watts is here representing the Property Owners Association, and there could be members of the public wishing to speak on this item. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else on staff that wishes to speak? Okay, I guess I will give it to you, sir. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Mark Watts with Cobb Cole. My address is 351 East New York Avenue, Suite 200, DeLand. And I'm here on behalf of the Spruce Creek Property Owners Association. First of all, I want to thank Kelly and Ginger and John and Danielle and all your staff for working with us on the application and putting the materials together for you today. We're principally here to answer any questions you might have. I think the staff report covers everything. I do note you've got a speaker card. I may want to come back up and respond if you give me that opportunity, Mr. Chairman. Otherwise, and I also have about 10 other people that are here to speak in favor of the removal if you need to hear from them, but we'd prefer to keep it short and sweet if that's your pleasure.
Okay, well, we will.
So if I can reserve that opportunity to come back up and respond to any points.
I'll tell you what we have to do. If I give one person which I'm going to do, Ms. Ford will have the opportunity to speak. I need to get all those yellow slips handed right to Ms. Zimmerman. Now, when I call the name, they can stand up and say, I'm for it, chop the tree down, whatever they want to say, and then sit right back down. They do not have to come up and speak for a total of 3 minutes.
Understood.
But
I'll give
but
Ms.
in all
Zimmerman
fairness and
Sure.
democracy, we have
We'll
to
we'll
do
go
it.
ahead and turn them in, but, you know, again,
Please.
we won't need.
And she will give them right to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So with that, here for any questions you might have. I think the staff report kind of speaks for the application. And if I can respond to any other points that may be raised, I'd appreciate the opportunity.
We will call you. Okay. So, I know I have one person here, Miss Ford, Judith Ford. Ah, hi.
Judith Ford, Spruce Creek
Yes.
Fly-In, Director on the POA Board of Directors.
If you'll give me 1 minute, please, ma'am.
Mhm.
I have to find something here. Where's my disclaimer? I know. I got a pile. Here we go. I have to read this. We're going to have a great deal of people speaking, so I want everybody to hear this. The Volusia County Council welcomes your involvement and is interested in hearing your comments. Please complete a public participation slip and indicate in the subject line the issue you wish to address, and you may use the back if you have to. After you're recognized, state your name and address for the record. Before beginning your comments, you may speak up to 3 minutes during this public participation. The County Council will not answer questions or requests during this public participation. Please be courteous and respectful of the views of others. Personal attacks on council members, county staff, or members of the public will not be tolerated. Those are the ground rules. I have to read them out. Okay, Ms. Ford, you have the floor.
Do you want me to state who I am again?
Yes, please. For the record, your name and your address, and we'll move on from there.
Judith G. Ford, 193, forgot my address.
Springwater Lane?
Yes.
Oh, there, okay. You have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Don't be nervous. Relax. We're fine here.
I am against the removal of the historic tree. I think the issue brought before the board that it's a safety issue is bogus. It is not recommended by the FAA. No documents have been received from the FAA, and it's not a requirement from the FAA to remove that tree. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Shane McLaughlin. You can either come up and speak or just stand there at your chair and say, I'm for the removal. I mean, however you want to work it. He's going to speak.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, thank you very much. My name is Shane McLaughlin. I reside at 2701 Autumn Leaves Drive in the Spruce Creek Fly-In community. I'm a member of the board of directors and also corporate secretary. I'd like to thank you very much and your staff for consideration of this matter. I rise in support, urge your vote in favor of our request to permit trimming of the tree. We have a GPS instrument approach at our airport. We worked hard to obtain this. It was obtained in 1999. We lost our approval to land aircraft at night at our facility in 2012 as a result of trees which penetrate a certain area. This tree falls within that area. We're asking your approval to remove the tree. This will permit us to proceed forward to accomplish 2 objectives. First, to obtain greater safety at the airport, and secondly, to apply for reauthorization of the approach. We're optimistic that if the tree is removed, that will likely occur. There are no guarantees, as we all know, with respect to the federal government, but we request your support in this matter. This will significantly enhance safety at our facility. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right, Jim McKinney.
I'm here to speak in favor of it.
You may speak if you wish.
That's okay.
Okay.
I don't want to waste your time. Thank you.
We're moving. Huh? Well, I have to go through the public participation. All the lists. No, he wasn't. What? I can't hear you over there.
I was just saying that Mr. Watts was the first one that
Yeah,
approached
he
the
was.
podium.
Yeah, he was.
And so I was thinking that now that you've heard the public participation from the opposition, that maybe he would be given a chance to explain if there were any questions.
I will. He's in here somewhere too. Aren't you in here?
No, I was not in there with the yellow.
Okay. Well, I was going through here because I thought you were in here. But I'll come to you later in a minute or two. Let's get the public through here. Dieter Kanji, am I close? Very close. Ah. I'm in favor of Jimmy Retreat. Okay. Sal J. Yes.
Mr. Chair, you need to either say they're in support or opposed
Yeah.
to it if they're not coming up.
Yeah, if you just need to say you're in support or opposed to removal of the tree.
I'm in support of removal.
Okay. Walter Redell. Okay. Is that Jack Domar? Am I close?
Jack Dittmeier,
Oh, okay.
in support of removal.
Okay. Julie Schloss.
In support of removal.
Jack Peck.
In support of removal.
All right. Harold Stevens. Please, you have 3 minutes, sir. Why don't you get up here? For the record, sir, state your name and your address.
Harold Stevens, 1708 Barron Court, Port Orange.
Okay, you have 3
20-year
minutes.
resident of Spruce Creek. I am a full-time pilot for my company, B&D Consulting. It is a safety issue, no doubt about it. I brought a picture of an accident that happened 2 years ago with the tree in question. There was a corporate jet being winched out of the water that was
If you please hand that to Ms. Zimmerman so we can put it up.
that had missed that tree by 10 foot. And the reason being that we didn't have more of an accident with the wing being knocked off was, so we just need to get this tree. It's the last of the remaining trees to get the clearance we need to the airport. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and Melvin C. Stanley. You just have to say support or not. If you're going to speak longer, you got to come to the microphone.
In support of removal.
Thank you, Mr. Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you've heard a good bit of information about the safety aspects of having a tree at the end of the runway. As Mr. McLaughlin alluded to, there are FAA regulations relating to vertical penetrations of the 20-to-1 ratio kind of slope that extends from the end of the runway. And this tree is one of several that extended through that plane. And essentially all the other trees that were necessary to be removed to comply with the FAA regulation have already been removed. This one was 36.5 inches, which was half an inch over the historic threshold, so it required to come to the county council for that action. But I can show you just a couple quick pictures giving you a couple other perspectives of the tree. I think you'll agree. You have the additional benefit of also owning an airport. And I think you'll agree that having a tree at the end of one of the runways is probably not the best location. So this is the tree. As you can see, it's between the end of the approach and a stormwater pond. It's also was previously part of a larger cluster, so it's got a very imbalanced canopy. And while I think if you can look around the rest of the airport, there's a great number of trees that are there, and I think the Property Owners Association very much likes to keep a very heavily treed neighborhood. But this one in particular is a safety risk, and so we'd ask for your approval. There again is another view, tree number 2.
All right.
The one in question.
Very well. All right, Mr. Lowry.
Thanks, sir. Is this a historic tree or not a historic tree? Because I heard someone say this morning that it was not, and they used some other terminology other than historic. And And maybe somebody could clarify that, because we heard, I don't know if you all remember, somebody this morning, a lady addressed and said it was something else. I can't remember exactly what she said. You
Kelly
help me.
McGee, Director of Growth and Resource Management. I believe that was a different tree. That was a specimen tree.
Specimen tree.
So a different property and a different tree.
Yeah, this is not a laurel oak. This is like a Sweetwater oak or something, isn't it?
It's a live oak.
Live oak. Isn't it? Okay. Okay. I guess I'm up here. All right. You know, I'm going to move on here to Miss Denny's. I need a motion or something.
Mr. Chair,
I
I'll
thought
make a motion.
Well, I called on Miss Denny's, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With this, I am going to make a motion to approve removal.
Okay, I got a motion for removal and a second by Mr. Daniels. You still have the floor, ma'am?
My only comment is a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I think that picture that we just saw, yeah, it just speaks volumes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's it.
Yeah, all right, now it's my turn. I couldn't make comment because I didn't know, I can't make the motion. We just had a very lengthy discussion today about safety on our highways. And I'll tell you what, I'm watching the news and I'm really getting nervous. I live near an airport and I get nervous when these airplanes go over after I watch the news and somebody's small airplane crash. Matter of fact, we had a small airplane crash less than 3 miles from my house. Guy didn't make the runway, landed out in the wood line. Unfortunately, everybody died in that crash. We're about safety. We're about safety on the airports. We're about safety on our roads, intersections. We're about the safety, and that's our job. And I'm seeing the 20-to-1 envelope, and yeah, you're right. This tree. It's 36 inches tall, but is that because it's, or I'm sorry, wide? 36, yeah, 36. 30, yeah, killer bonsai tree. Watch out for that bonsai. It's 36 inches and plus in diameter. But my real question is that because of nature or because of design? Is it that wide because we kept trimming the top down and just that's how we trim bushes. You don't want them to bush out the bottom, you cut the top off and they grow out. Is that what happened here? Yes, well, I understand. He makes trees. I read that poem. Robert Louis Stevenson, I do believe. Anyways, so I will be in support of this. Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to I got one question for Mr. Watts, and that is that tree really that ugly, or did you doctor this picture?
I'm not going to pass judgment on the tree itself, but that is what the tree looks like.
I would take it down just for beautification. Thank
Charlie
you.
Brown's looking for a Christmas tree.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels.
Okay, you can tell it's getting late in the afternoon.
We knew we were one of your last items today, so.
Is there any further constructive comments? Okay, without further discussion, all those in favor of to grant the permit to remove the tree from the Spruce Creek Fly-In runway, please signify by aye. And all those opposed, so carried. You have your permit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, item 43A is special event Ocean Deck Weekends on the Sands. Mr. Sanders, are you available? Oh. Guess Mr. Swanson's going to lead the discussion here. Good morning, or good afternoon, Chief.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to start a new item, or do you want Tim to finish the other one you had? He's got the budget.
Oh, we got the budget?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Swanson, would it be all right if we took a few moments and dealt with that? We got to go back
Tim?
an item to item.
Yeah, Tim, would you come forward
Tim.
and explain what you do and what it costs?
Yeah, good afternoon. Tim Bailey, Volusia County Parks, Recreation, Culture Director. In terms of the maintenance activities that we perform there at Sunrail Station, there's mowing, in the landscaping beds, we remove all the weeds, empty the trash at least twice a day. We remove the mud daubers and the spider webs from the under canopy, pressure wash, paint, irrigate, and the electric lights. out there, total approximately $77,896 per year.
Okay.
77,000?
Yep.
77,000.
That ain't approximately.
There it is. You got it right down to the penny just about.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. And 25 cents. Okay. So we are now back on item 41, amendment to the Commuter Rail Joint Use Agreement between the State of Florida Department of Transportation and the County of Volusia. Ms.
you can wait.
Kuzak, you have the floor. Yes, let us finish this first issue. We're coming back to item 41. Ms. Kuzak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand that we are in a mode to try to be real conservative, if you will, in our spending. But I do believe that we have a responsibility and obligation, because many of the folks that live all over West Volusia area go to that station. And what we're paying for maintenance of it, it's in some arenas they might make chump change, but I think it's significant enough that we ought to approve this item. But I think it would be prudent upon us to send a letter or to City of DeBary Council saying to them how much it's costing us, and we're getting ready to, with funding, state funding, to add more spaces, and that at this point that we think that they should be sharing the cost with us. And we would like a response from them as to if they will or will not. And if they will, how much, and if they will not, tell us why they will not. And so I just think that we need to put it on the record that even though it's in DeBary, it's all of our responsibility, and we need to let the citizens understand this. Here again, the county is picking up a ticket that should be shared with the city, and hopefully they will recognize that and will share that. So with that, Mr. Chair, I move the approval of item 41, amendment to the Commuter Rail System Joint Use Agreement between the State of Florida Department of Transportation and the County of Volusia.
Second that.
I have a motion for approval and a second by Ms. Kuzak and a second by Mr. Lowry. Okay, Mr. Patterson.
I am not going to support that motion. I honestly think that most of the people using that station are from Deltona. I think that we should possibly, since the name, in talking to the manager, the name DeBary Station is just a placeholder. It's not carved in stone over there. That I think that we should approach the city of Deltona and ask them if they would like to share in the cost of the maintenance and rename it the Deltona Station. Or, you know, if we have it, we could call it the Volusia Station. It's actually located in the little community of Valdez, what it was named many, many years ago, back when the Spanish explorer came in, back in about the 1500s. It could be called Valdez. Lake Monroe was originally Lake Valdez. So I think if they're not going to support us with it, I think it would be service to look at other ways of naming it. Naming rights are important anymore. Everybody's looking at naming rights. So if they want to share it with us, I'd support that. But I'm not going to support this motion to consider this one at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Daniels.
We need to do what's right for the citizens of Volusia County, and Sunrail is our responsibility. We're the ones who signed the agreement. It was not the city of DeBary. It was not the city of Deltona. We're the ones who did it. It is our job to take care of this kind of thing. We need more parking spaces there, and we need to provide them. It is our job. And to go to the city of DeBary that has a mayor that wants to get on a raft and float from Cuba to Miami is, you know, I mean, it's just insane to think that they're going to do anything. And then you got Deltona. I mean, Deltona doesn't have two nickels to rub together. You're not going to get anything out of Deltona. So what you're going to do is you're going to penalize the citizens of Volusia County for two cities that are, shall we say, troubled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Denny's.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this reminds me of when we had that conversation on Votran. Councilwoman Cusack, we can send a letter, we can ask, and if there's no teeth to it, if there's no reason to implement, that letter will be filed in the round basket. It will absolutely be filed. I do not expect, because if we were going to have participation, I would have thought we would have had it early on and even today. I'm still not going to support it, and we can disagree on issues. I have no problem philosophically doing that. But to call this a childish act asking one entity for collaboration from another, I don't think is a right response, very respectfully. I do not think that. It wasn't childish to ask the city of Edgewater for $300,000 to improve that intersection, and I would say their finances are probably in the same shape, or at least budget-wise, as Deltona and or DeBerry. So sometimes you have to have skin in the game, and you have to have some ownership. So very respectfully, unless there's collaboration, I am still not going. It might pass, but the message is this: I'm looking for collaboration going forward, especially in transportation. And this falls within those parameters, so I'm still not going to be supporting it. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, just one more thing. We're only talking $77,000 a year, so it's not like we're talking $1.7 million. There is a good faith element to this and some goodwill to this. Yeah. And so this $77,000 to be absorbed by an entity is not asking too much, but it is asking for partnership. And if we are turned down and if that partnership and collaboration is void, that sends a message. Thank you.
Okay. If I may first, I can't support this motion myself, and I won't support it, but I do offer a suggestion. First is doing, because it's like this, and you are correct. We've done this with Votran, with other organizations and other situations that we've been in, and we've been left holding the bag constantly. When it comes to wastewater, we're left holding the bag on everything. Everybody wants us to do everything for them. I'm going to suggest that before we say yes or no and send this back to wherever it goes, I would suggest that we go back to DeBerry and Deltona one more time and say, look, here's a formal letter. We would like you to take over maintenance. If you do take over maintenance, we'll be more than happy to continue on. But if you don't want to take over maintenance, we could change the name to the Gemini Springs, as Ms. Denny's suggested earlier. Gemini Springs Station. It's right there at Gemini Springs. And you know what? People want to go to Gemini Springs from Orange County and Seminole County because it's the Springs. I'll ride the train to the Springs. But what's a DeBerry? And yes, they got some issues down there, but this is one of these issues. They wanted the station. We signed the contract and agreement, but they were adamant about putting their name on that station. So if you want the name, you got to take some responsibility. I'm willing to go 50-50 with it, but to continue to pay $77,000 plus probably another $40,000 or $50,000, because this is still on the drawing table right now. So, Mr. Deneen, how long before we actually have to have this agreement done? Mr. Angiuli, somebody? Oh, so we've got some time. Okay, so we've got some time. So we actually could postpone this, sit down with the mayors or send a letter off or send our staff over and say, look at their city meetings and say, look, you need to step up to the plate. At least meet us halfway. I'm willing to work with them halfway. So that's my comments. Mr. Patterson, you said you had something to say.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I want to offer an amendment to Ms. Cusack's motion to approve the joint participation agreement, but I want to amend it that the station would be renamed the Volusia Station, since it is a Volusia County station and Volusia County is paying for it. So we would strike the name of DeBerry Station and just rename the station the Volusia Station. And that is my motion to amend.
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend and a second.
No letter.
To rename the station the Volusia Station. I really like Gemini Springs better, but
It was a letter in my motion. So you would want.
My motion is an amendment to her motion.
Correct.
To approve the joint.
to approve it with the renaming of the station from DeBerry to Volusia.
No letter, just approve it, rename the station the Volusia Station and move on.
And I have a second. And all those in favor of the amendment to the motion, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, Miss 2. Okay, so there's,
I'm sorry.
the amendment is
Who were
attached.
Were opposed?
No,
Ms. Cusack and?
Mr. Lowry.
Mr. Lowry, thank you.
Okay, and that's just an amendment to the motion. Okay, now.
Back on the main.
Back on to the main motion, which is approval of item 41.
As amended.
As amended. Okay, there we go. So we're still on that. Mr. Daniels, you have the floor.
Yes, I was just talking to Ms. Denny's and apologizing, probably the word childish was not the best to have used. But, it is sort of tit for tat and that kind of thing. And, you do have DeBerry that is somewhat distracted by its rather comical mayor. And you have, Deltona that has its own set of problems, and that was really my point. Mr. Patterson's renaming of the station and going forward, I think is fine. I'm good with that. But I did want to apologize for the childish comment.
So received.
Thank you.
I can feel the love up here. Mr. Wagner. It might have been lunch. It was truly a hallmark moment. Mr. Wagner.
I don't want to hurt it, but do you guys realize that we're complaining about 77 grand, and do you realize how much money's going to have to be spent to change it from DeBerry to Volusia on all the Sunrail, not just Volusia County's paperwork, but all the hand- I like the name better. I think it makes sense.
But
are we going to have to pay, the...
No, Orange County and Seminole County, all those, they'll have to pay their own way.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big cost to that.
It's called a funding partner. That's what we're looking for, Josh.
It's a funding
This is what the partnership.
I mean, for 77 grand, my firm will be Vassalers Wagner 77777 train station. If you guys really need the money, I'll make that commitment right now, billboard included. But I get the, I get it. But I think the name makes more sense until we have our second train station. But there's going to be a big cost to this. Are our partners going to freak out? I guess it's just a question for staff. We have a list. We have partners along this rail line, and all of a sudden we're changing our name and all materials. We're on all the materials.
Can I suggest something? I would really like to be able to do this. We have a little bit of time. I really don't see any harm until the next meeting, at least, if you let me put the letter together and ask, but not just DeBerry. Ask Deltona, ask Orange City if all of them would work with us. I'll tell you why. Until now, we never knew what the ridership is.
Jim, they're not going to work with it.
Well, I'd rather between them, the three of them, you have nothing to lose if we formally ask if they would go together as a cooperative. We've been working with them on other things. They may decide, no problem. You got nothing to lose.
Jim, we could pass collection plate in this assembly and get more money.
Mr. Chair, move the previous question. Oh.
We have.
Ms. Kuzak would like to speak. Is that all right, sir?
It was on before.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she still had the floor.
Well, I never gave it up.
Oh, you never gave it up. I thought you were done.
Counseling officer.
The only thing all of your points are well taken, but for every action, there is a reaction. And if we start renaming stations over $78,000,
If I may, it's going to jump.
well, it might jump, but also so is life jumps.
True.
And so I think there are bigger fish to fry when you look at the entire Sunrail system. For us to be spending time, I know, everybody has ideas and opinions, and we all do. That's what's unique about this council, is that none of us think just alike. But I implore you to give the manager an opportunity to ask them. And so if they say no, then you tell me you're going to turn down the money and tell them you don't want to build a station that addition to place spots in Delta. If you can't get the help, what you going to do then? Because you got to remember, if you're so set on them helping to maintain it, are you just as set in saying to the state of Florida, we don't want the additional spots in Delta and in West Volusia? Think about it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Deneen? Or did you already say your piece? Okay, Mr. Lowry?
Would it be appropriate, we're kind of shooting from the hip here all of a sudden. I don't feel comfortable with a lot of things that we're trying to do here. Can we not table this till maybe the next meeting and give Mr.
No, there's
Deneen
a
a little
motion
bit of
on the,
time?
there's a motion on the floor, and it cannot be tabled until after the motion is voted on if it fails.
Well, I'd like to speak again if it fails then.
Okay, you will, very well. Mr. Patterson?
I want to move the previous question. And we can always go back and change the name later when we add other stations on there as everything comes about. But right now, the train is coming to Volusia County. I think going and renaming it the Volusia Station is fine.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay,
my
the motion, the question has been called. Do I hear a second for the call of the question? Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Question has been called. All those in favor of call for the question, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Question has been called. The motion is for approval of the amendment to the commuter rail system joint use agreement between the state of Florida, Department of Transportation, and the county of Volusia to include changing the name of the station to Volusia. To Volusia Station. Everybody got that? Okay, all the motion, everybody understands the motion. I want it clear because it was confusing. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed. 1, 2, 3. Any other opposes? The motion passes.
Okay, for the record. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
For the record, Ms.
For the
Kuz-
record, the
Ms.
motion has passed. It is it's the amendment to the commuter rail system joint use agreement between Florida, state of Florida, transportation, and us.
The three opposed are Ms. Cusack, Mr. Davis, and Mr. Lowry. Am I correct?
Exactly. Is that what you wanted to know? Okay, I was going down the whole motion again. Okay, the motion passes. Mr. Deneen, I would still appreciate it if you would reach out to the cities and contact them. Please. Well, I mean, the purpose is still, they can still pony up and help. I mean, even though we're going to get that's always been the argument. The discussion has not been the parking, not whether we're getting the parking.
Let me interject here. I have to meet, I've never met their manager before. but supposedly he needs to talk to me about some things that may involve some stuff they even want from us. Once they hear of what direction we're going, that discussion may come up. I'll have that discussion with him and the others. And if anything, if I think there's any information that's pertinent to the council, I'll let you know. But at this point, you've passed a motion to move on.
Yeah, we got that, but I still would like the city of DeBary to help, or Deltona to help. Yes, Ms. Denny's?
Is it possible? I think this council's pretty much sent a message and sent in this direction. But is it possible, Mr. Anjuli, you said we don't need this till when, September? When did I hear this?
Looked like the construction was going to finish around January of 17, so we got some time.
Okay, so we have some time.
We have time.
Mr. Manager and council, would it be possible to allow a window of opportunity to speak with the city of DeBary and/or Deltona, still based on where we are now? Can we put a 30-day delay in to give them each one opportunity for their cities to meet and for implementation of what we just passed?
Mr. Patterson has the answer for that.
I believe that their next city council meeting is the Wednesday before we meet on Thursday of this month. So I would suggest that maybe if they agreed to it, something, then maybe we could, and Mr. Eckert can tell me whether I'm correct or not, that we could reconsider the motion that we passed today at our next council meeting if they decide that they want to participate, if that was at the council's will at that point.
That's the word that I was looking for. Thank you, Mr. Patterson, is to reconsider then. In council, is there agreement? Do we need a motion for reconsideration?
No,
It would have to come up at the next council meeting.
Okay,
when
but
the issue's up.
is there interest from the council?
Well, why don't we
in
just let it lay there?
to do that?
Mr. Deneen is going to be meeting with the manager over there, and we'll see what. We've agreed to change it, but
We can agree to change it
we
back.
may reconsider this motion at the next meeting if they decide to come to participate.
I don't think they meet until the first Wednesday of each month. They
No,
have
they-
like a workshop, but unless they've changed it recently.
They got 2 meetings a
I was
month like
listening
us.
to them last night. It was an interesting meeting that I was listening to say the least. But
And it was the first Wednesday.
but they were talking about their next meeting was on the 21st, I think,
Okay.
or 20th.
All right.
So
I believe that's a workshop, though. I'm not sure it's a regular meeting, but I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna try to find it for you.
It'll be easy over there. Okay.
No raft required, Mr. Deneen.
And can I
Move
point
about the
one more
county.
thing out? On the DeBary sign, it says end of the line. Does it say that at the other part? At the end?
You know, I don't
the other
know
end?
Yes,
Because
it
wouldn't we
does.
really be the beginning
I don't know.
of the line? It's
Yeah, we
commuter
should say
rail,
the
you're going
beginning
in.
of all rail.
It just seems too negative on that.
We'll look at
Anyone
that.
else pick up on that?
No, I
Beginning of rail.
No, it's a commuter rail. You're supposed to
Well, it
commute
depends
in.
how you look at it. It's
Yeah,
either
we are
beginning
the
or
beginning.
The end. The end is where you're going.
you know the interesting thing about it is
Going south.
the heaviest
Begin-
ridership is in Volusia County.
Yeah, so we
Heaviest
should be.
percentage of ridership is in Volusia County.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on here to, I'm going to ask a special request, if I may. I know you guys are here for the ocean deck. Can I jump over you one? Because I've got something that's going to take like, I think 5 minutes, a junior league thing. It might
Yes.
take about 5 minutes.
That's all.
And I'd like to get that handled. Okay, thank you, Mr. Morrow. All right, so we're going to jump up here to item 43B, which is the use of a historic courthouse by the Junior Service League. Ms. Magley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Joanne Magley, Community Information Director, and the Junior Service League is requesting the use of the historic courthouse rotunda and the upstairs balcony for their spring member social. The request includes permission to serve alcohol. It'll be catered and includes some entertainment. If approved, the Junior Service League would comply with and pay for the county's security and custodial fees. Erica Carter with the Junior Service League is here if you have any questions.
She did that like a debutante, you know that? Yes, Mr. Patterson. Gotta have the microphone on, sir.
Move approval,
I
Mr.
have a motion for approval and a second by Mr. Wagner. She did. She really waved like a debutante.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Any further discussion on this? What kind of entertainment is it? Music, bands, marching bands, brass bands?
You're not allowed.
My name is Erica Carter. I live at 311 West University Avenue, Delandite. The entertainment is going to be a DJ, mix of 1940s retro patriotic music with some hits. We are not selling alcohol. The alcohol is included in the price of a ticket. It's $30. So if you know a Junior Service League member, which I know there are plenty of
There's
ladies
two back
in
there.
here, plenty of ladies.
Oh, she's doing the royal wave over there.
Yes, many ladies in this community have been in Junior Service League, but you get a ticket by asking a member. So you're all invited. I hope you come. The rotunda is perfect for us. That beautiful stained glass, all the oil paintings in there, it's fabulous. It will really go with our theme, and it's pinups and patriots. So you gotta dress like a little 1940s girl or patriotic regalia, and you're in
Oh,
it.
it's a ladies only thing.
Absolutely not. We need to bring our husbands
So
and our boyfriends.
Jason can dress up like a 40s girl?
No, I can't.
Costume contest winner?
No, I can't.
I just got that image in my mind. Oh.
I could do your hair.
Yes.
Anyways, we
Watch
humbly
it, I'll
ask for your
jab you in the
approval.
eye. I'm sorry. It gets 4 o'clock-ish. We start getting a little punchy.
That's cool.
Okay. All right. No further discussion. All those in favor of use of the historic courthouse by the Junior Service League, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Go have a good party.
You're invited. Just get in
It's
touch
gonna
with
be
us.
some swing music, I assume.
Well, 1940s was a swing era.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gentlemen, come forth. Special event, Ocean Deck, Weekends on the Sand. Terry Sanders or Mr. Mark Swanson? Mr. Mark Swanson. You have the floor, sir. Sorry it took so long to get to this point.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. Mark Swanson, Beach Safety Director. You have in front of you today a request for the 2016 Weekends in the Sand schedule. This is during turtle nest season. On January 21st, 2016, the council approved 20 days of events for February through April 2016. The staff recommended a total of 40 days for 2016, and this is a request for an additional 32 days for a total of 52 days in 2016. In 2015, the council approved a total of 39 days, and this is here for your direction.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of staff report. Okay, is there any public participation? Where'd Ms. Zimmerman go? Is there any public over there, ma'am?
The applicant is here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, fine. Yes, ma'am, I understand. Okay, I see no pub other than you, and I know you're here, sir. So,
I am.
you have the floor.
Ken Botts, 6201 Oak River Terrace in Port Orange, here as representative of the Ocean Deck. Just wanted to talk a little bit about special events and how important they are. Just to feature some of our beautiful beaches here in Volusia County. What it allows us to do in our area of the beach, which was the first traffic-free beach zone in the county, and that takes us all the way back to about 2001. And since that time, the county council and county staff have been very supportive of allowing us to hold special events. Again, because it was the first traffic-free beach zone, there was quite a learning curve to try and figure out how to breathe a little life into that area. So with inviting people down to the beach and allowing them to drink alcoholic beverages in that area, listen to some music, enjoy some sunshine, some moonlight, it gave us that opportunity to showcase that area, and it's been very successful. As you may or may not know, there's been a float stand concessionaire there gosh, probably going on 30 years. And I know that a number of those owners have struggled through some of those hard times where it was pretty quiet. But with holding the special events and the investment that the Ocean Deck has made in off-beach parking, as well as attracting some other area businesses, specifically getting Starbucks into the building right across from us on Ocean Avenue, as well as the city attracting Joe's Crab Shack. You actually see beachgoers taking advantage of that off-beach parking that's available in the area and utilizing that beach. Some of those beachgoers will come to the Ocean Deck. Some of them will choose to go to Joe's. Some of them will just choose to enjoy the sand. But the courtesy of you extending the ability for us to do special events on the sand has helped that area grow. It's helped it get cleaned up. It's invited back locals that never thought about going to that area because for quite a while it was blighted and quiet. The number of hotels in that area since 2004 have gone from 7 down to 2. The 2 that remain are in cleanup and fix-up mode, as the rest of Ocean Avenue is. And I would just look forward to you promoting more special events, not only in my zone, but in that whole traffic-free beach zone down there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Botts. Got me all choked up there.
I like
Rob Merrill, you're here for applicant questions only.
Well, you know what? I heard some questions, so I thought I'd respond. How about that? Rob Merrill for the record, Cobb Cole, 149 South Ridgewood. I'm here as an advocate for the Ocean Deck, but I got to tell you, I'm also here because I believe in what they're doing. I've experienced it myself firsthand for a long time. Mr. Botts is an upstanding member of the business community and does a great job with what he's done with these events. And if you've been there and you've seen it, you'd understand that. There's nothing, 40 days versus 52 days, or whether he's able to have the lights on and the music from till 9 or till midnight. There's a lot going on in eastern Volusia County if y'all haven't been over there and spent much time next to the beach this past year. We've got vertical construction at One Daytona. We've got a brand new motorsports arena that rivals anything in the world. We've got hotels being, significant ones being remodeled and groundbreaking on another one this week, tomorrow, I think. The things that are going on at the LBJ interchange with Tanger Outlets and all the other things that are dominoing behind that. Last night was our first reading on the Minto communities, which is phenomenal. These things are all happening and people are coming, and we need to entertain them. That's what this guy does, and he does it in a way that's wholesome, clean. Like you said, people that are locals like myself that haven't been there in a long time are back because these things are happening that are productive and eventful. I know that Daytona Beach is behind this sort of thing, and I hope you'll join us in joining with the Ocean Deck to allow this to continue and to, I think, promote it further. Any questions? Since that was the beginning of what I said I would do.
I don't have any. We will
It's
call.
always a pleasure to
We
be here
will.
for you.
We will call upon you, though, Mr. Merrill.
Thank you
Trust
very
me.
much.
Ms. Denny's.
Thank you. I'm going to approach this yet again from a policy standpoint, Council. When we talked about this last year, I believe it was last year, whenever we had one of our last discussions on this particular item, just like the golf carts, if we're going to create an ordinance, if we're going to have special exceptions, it has to be countywide here. Because there's one thing, and I think we agreed to do this just for the time and the setup that happened last time. If we're going to change this, I have to tell you, Tony and Joe's and Chase's on the beach down in New Smyrna Beach and the other districts are going to want this option too. Now, Can you put that up on the screen here? Okay, this is what was submitted. Well, first of all, I want to go to the application. The application, council members, if you look in what was submitted on page 7, our beach rules and guidelines. This is our policy, our guidelines. Number 11, the first one, alcohol and glass containers are not allowed. There's a question mark there. The end of that one, under number 11, all sound-making devices or instruments must not amplify more than 50 feet from the device or instrument. There's another question mark. So if we're going to have guidelines and policies and we put this out there and an applicant is allowed to either not respond or respond with a question mark, that's noncompliance. That's just flat out noncompliance. And then if you look at this, where we got into the slippery slope, and I think what stopped us cold last time was the property owner, the property itself is 50 foot across. And he had at that point extended, I believe, over 100 feet, 25 on each side of his property, on other property areas actually, into the beach, which actually isn't the property owners because the county owns the beach. So now we're going from 50 to 75%. So there's another 50 to 75%, 50 to 75 foot, another 25 foot. That's a 50% increase from his existing property that he owns. And then 75 foot down the beach. This is what we stopped last time, the encroachment. This is why we unanimously stopped it last time. And my concern, again, is at high tide, there are reports, and it has been reported, that you can't get past that part of the beach because of barriers like this. So if there's alcohol, and we know that there is, okay, so then it has to be blocked off. So when you do that, you're basically creating a private beach with literally no access for some. We talk about driving on the beach. One thing that we are required to do is have access. This is actually cutting the access. And again, it's expanding in an area geographically that he doesn't own. And for all of those reasons, I'm not going to support it. I think it's an expanding slippery slope yet again. In council, maybe, Mr. Manager, we need to probably talk about this, and not specifically this business, but if we're going to open the beach up for, and we do special event permits, but this isn't special event. This isn't the exception. This is trying to become the rule. And if we're going to set that as an ordinance, if this is where council wants to go, let's set that so everybody, including the business owners, know what they're dealing with. But one thing we cannot do and will not do is set up a private beach. And we've made this a private beach area. So I'm not willing to do that. And that was the conversation last time we had. That was very clearly stated. So based on that, based on the expansion past the property that he owns, and based on the fact that there's, purposely didn't answer the application or respond. So we do not want glass on the beach. That just do not want glass on the beach, period. I'm still troubled by this, but I think this issue we need to talk about, council. Unless you don't want to. If we don't want to, fine, let's just say no and move on. But I can tell you down in my district, if we did this and closed the beach off, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So we need some direction as a county where we want to go and open it up to public input on both sides of this issue. I need to hear, but I'm not going to support it. Thank you.
Mr. Wagner.
I think I've I've never really wavered on this one. I'm pretty consistent that I would want all businesses to do it. I think it actually is a great thing. When I was in Hawaii recently, they use the beach in such a neat way. I mean, there's just a lot of life down there. You know, granted, it's a completely different user for the most part.
They don't have
But-
cars on the beach, do they?
No, no cars,
Okay,
but
there you
neither
go.
does this area. I mean, you're talking about the ocean deck. There's no cars in front of the ocean deck. So it's, I mean, we have two different models when you look at our beach. It's really three different models. You have a non-driving beach, you have a driving beach, and you have this quasi where we close parks and have people drive through. So I think if we're really thinking about, you know, do we treat it the same? I don't. I think you treat it differently. You know, I, for one, am okay with alcohol on the beach. I think, you know, going down there like in Hawaii, drinking a pina colada, you know, watching the sunset is a nice thing. It's enjoyable. It's not a keg party. You know, it's just not. I'm sure you guys would probably think of, you know, spring break, you just got through it, I know. There has to be limits to it, I understand. But as far as something in a fenced-in area, I would be for, you know, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'd be for all the time. Just because I think they do a great job, and I think if it's structured right, I think we should allow other businesses. We should be promoting other businesses to do it. As Rob said, we are in a transitional phase in Daytona Beach, and I think these are nice amenities. I do. Now, if you're out having burying a keg in the sand and being a Nimrod, then no, I don't. But if you're doing something nice and having a nice event, I think it makes sense. And I think, Doug, you brought it up, the image and the look a couple years ago. That's important. I mean, you want it to look a certain level, a certain class. So I'm probably the other end of the spectrum, so I don't know where everybody falls in between. So, yeah, I'm open for discussion, Deb, to answer your question.
I think we need to have that, Josh, and I'm not against the alcohol on the beach. That's not my problem. That's not the issue. That's because I enjoy chases on the beach and Tony and Joe's and down at the breakers. But at the same time, I think, and you're right, things are changing. And I would be open to looking at this as a comprehensive change. I think it's time, but don't let that get in the way of the concern of not agreeing, not signing off on the application unless we're going to change our application and allow glass on the beach and allow these other things. There's major changes here. There's major things not being addressed and that's not compliant. That's my concern.
Yeah, I think, you can look at all parts of it. I think plastic on the beach is a horrible idea. Now, granted, I don't want to step on broken bottles and broken glass in the beach sand when I'm barefoot, but, I mean, you want to have an issue? Go to Sunglow Pier after Krabby Joe's on a Saturday night. Go down there on Sunday. I'm going to find a bunch of garbage. I'll tell you where it's at. I mean, I surf out there, so I see it. It's disgusting.
Not within the poles.
No, I would never admit to actually surfing in the surf zone.
Although
I
he's a
used
top
my
guy,
words.
so he
I
can't
used
really
my
tell
words
where the
correctly
pole
just
is.
now. But as far as the discussion, I do think we should have the discussion, and I think part of that discussion should be: do we consider drivable beach and non-drivable beach different, and how that would change, and also how the boardwalk will change that when we're talking about the boardwalk discussion. That boardwalk is going to create a classy environment, and I don't mean it as like white tablecloths, but I think it's more of like when I was in Hawaii, you expected a different level of beach enjoyment. And I think ours is, some parts of our beach, you go down there and it's a little gross. I won't lie to you. It is. And but then again, in Hawaii on the South Shore, there's some other areas that, it's just, what do we want, Deb? What do we want our beach to be? And maybe that's what the discussion, we tried to have that discussion a year and a half ago. But I think if we really look at it, I think the contracts are coming up again in a year, Jim, isn't that right? Maybe it's time to have that discussion. Maybe it's time to have the discussion of alcohol and how would you do permitting if you had alcohol, and would it be one vendor that has alcohol? How would you do that? And would you have it in non-driving? Probably be hard to have it in driving. I get that. But maybe it's time for that discussion.
Well, don't say that, because then you cut all of southeast Volusia and the tide. We actually have more beach in some areas, like, depending where you go, even at high tide, there's still quite a bit of beach for some of the businesses down there. So I guess what I'm saying is I'd be open to that discussion, and I think it's time. I think we welcome that. And maybe this is the impetus, but right now, for this particular project, I'd like to hear the rest of, I want to hear what the rest of council says.
Me too.
Yeah, thanks.
I tried to respond to Deb's questions.
Okay, go ahead and try.
I just want to be clear, because we're having a dialogue here, and we're the
Yeah.
only ones here, so I don't think there's any public to say one
No.
way or the other. But the question about the question mark about bottles, there's no intent to have bottles on the beach. I think what Ken was trying to do is make sure that there was a question on the floor, and the staff's recommendation as a result of that question, is the alcohol okay on the beach? That's something that we had to come to you guys to ask for. That's why we're here, not letting staff approve it. And then as it relates to the sound, we had a question about when the sound had to be turned off. And so he left the question mark there, keeping that question open between 9 or midnight. And that's the question that we brought on the floor today, and you've got a recommendation from staff at 9, and we said 12. That's the only question mark, so we're out there, Deb. And the 50 and 75-foot question, this is the same diagram we had a year and a half ago, the same one that was approved back in January. It changes 50 to 75 with the size of the events. Remember, we had different categories of events. I know this has been a while, and you guys don't live this like Ken does, but we had a long discussion about those things, and we really hashed it out, and that's where we ended up. This diagram is the same. So, and I want to make it clear that we're not here. I mean, I understand that having a policy is a good idea. I agree with that. I've been cheerleading for that since the first time I walked up here with Ken Botts. The policy will be complicated because the beach is different everywhere you go. I mean, New Smyrna, there's a place for some of this. Maybe not the exact same thing, but the reason why we're here today and the reason why the staff's made a recommendation and brought it forward is because we have the opportunity to do that. The ordinance now allows it to come in with a special request. It's like a PUD. And it's not a project. This is an ongoing thing he's been doing for many years successfully with no complaints. These guys aren't up here telling you he's got problems with spring breakers that are police problems or anything like that. It's all positive. So the only real question we have between what the manager is giving you in terms of recommendation and us is a matter of a few days and a few hours. And it's based on this guy's experience running these events. So, I just want to clarify, Deb, for your benefit. So that's all.
Mr. Chair, Rob, thank you for that. So you're saying what we're seeing up here is what we approved previously?
Yeah, the 50 and 75 that you questioned is a moving width and depth based on the size of the events. And he can describe it in detail to you, but it's the same thing we went through, not this past January, but the one before. And it carried over to the one that you approved, and we said we got to come back at turtle season because some things are changing as a result of having to go talk to DEP, which we've done.
Well, speaking of DEP, they have to sign off, right, on the lights?
Yes.
That's correct?
Correct.
Was it assumed in that application process, or it has been stated that the county has signed off on it, therefore it should, with the DEP and the environmentalists?
No, not at all.
That's why it should be approved?
No, we need approval from both you and the DEP. We weren't trying to default to anyone, either side, but we need approvals from both.
But it wasn't assumed in the application because council approved this, that we're approving the lights and the sound during turtle season?
No assumptions from either side. Just a request from both sides.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Thanks for that clarification.
Ms. Kuzak. See, this is why I wanted to do the junior league earlier. Get that done.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that I'm in total agreement. We need to have a meeting that will be a tad bit more explicit as it relates to policy and how we will deal with different areas of the beach. That has not happened. And I think when we approved of the Ocean Decks event schedule last year, it was based on the fact that because we were not completely together, if you will, or have that policy set in place, that we would approve the 39 days. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that discussion has not occurred or is not complete at this time
Actually,
as it relates to policy.
Correct, and I think part of it was unclarity in terms of what the hotels that were looking at coming on the beach. There was all kinds of issues. This was like a placeholder, is what they did. If I can interject to help here.
Well, if you just let me finish.
Go ahead.
To the next point. If 39 days was approved by this body last time.
Right.
And the indication, did that work okay? This thing is too tall for me. This needs to be adjusted down.
Okay.
Did you have any problems with the 39 days?
No, we did not.
And the fact that you somebody tell me what would be the concerns are from 39 to, say, 42. What about, what are days? What determined the number of days that you approved?
Let's see if I can help you, Ms. Cusack. Last year, you approved days in February, March, and April, approximately 20. This year, you approved February, March, and April, approximately 20. Last year, he had days in May, June, July, and December. This year, the request is May, June, July, August, September, October, and December. So there are 3 additional months, and without getting specific as to days per month, because June last year was 5, June this year is 4. July has a few more days, then there's 5 days in August, 5 days in September, and 2 days in October this year, which makes up the difference between the 39 last year and the 52 this year. So essentially, he's asking for 7 days in July, 5 days in August, 5 days in September, and 2 in October, which is the differentiation between the 2 calendars.
Which happens to be, that's 17 days?
It comes out to be
5, you said 5 times.
13 additional days. 13 additional days.
If I may, the concern here, I mean, it is that as the upland property owner, is assuming that he has the right to make the use of a beach which is not inconsistent with that of the public. And at some point, when you enclose the beach, and you enclose it for a fairly large space, and then the tides come in, and you're enclosing it for an increasing portion of the year, it becomes an interference with the public's right to use the beach at that location. And the charter, I mean, it's a duty that's imposed upon you collectively, but the charter says that you have a duty to protect, define, and enforce public access to the beach. And so the concerns here involve not only the environmental aspect, which is a separate concern that you have, but maintaining the public's right to use the beach at this location. And so the staff's trying to seek some balance to allow him to make some use of the beach while not interfering with the public's use. And that's the judgment we're asking you to make. We understand that the desire to make policy here. There's been a number of factors that are involved. The beach at that location is changing. You've talked about building a boardwalk, which may change the nature of it, and we didn't think we were ready for a comprehensive policy recommendation to you. And so the recommendation was that the policy which was implemented last year be that which would carry forward for the other year. But next year, and frankly, it was you took back some days, but those days had grown to quite a number, and now I think, next year it's an incremental argument, but at some point it interferes with the public's right of access to the beach, and that's a judgment you're going to have to make.
At that particular location, the public access is limited. Is that correct?
Public access is
limited at that, in that area.
Limited, yes, ma'am.
Then it's limited so much so that 39 was the acceptable number, but 52 is not.
Well, that's our recommendation to you, that we try, that.
I'm
that the
just
pub-
trying to reasonably rationalize as to, if we're going to do this, we really need to have a policy in place. I get that. But where I have some heartburn over is the fact that the staff has indicated that there was no problem with 39 days.
I think the staff is indicating to you that there's not a policing problem.
That's
But the policing problem is different than,
then the access problem is that I understand the two. So it's really the fact that we have had complaints that folk didn't have access to the beach in this area. Where are they coming from? I mean, nobody's here today to.
well.
I want to be. I hear you, but I don't ever want us to say that people did not have access to that beach.
But
And when we make a decision to say that it could be a problem with access, and nobody is saying that, you're looking into the future that it could happen. So for me, the point is that we need to get that policy in place so that we wouldn't have to deal with this kind of issue. I would agree to follow the recommendation of 39. So apparently the 39 days isn't acceptable.
We recommended that to you as an appropriate balance, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I hear you, but it doesn't make sense to me. But that's just mine. I'm just one member of this group.
Well,
And that's, because I can't see, somehow someone needs to tell me how you can rationally say 39 is accepted, but 40 is not.
well, I don't think there's it's a judgment to be made by you, but the notion of customary right of usage of the beach is that it's ancient, reasonable, free from dispute,
And uninterrupted.
and uninterrupted.
Okay.
And
And it's the uninterrupted.
and in the uninterrupted part, I mean, at some point, the use becomes interrupted for a segment of the beach. And the charter declares upon that the entire beach of Volusia County is subject to that right of customary use. And I understand that the notion that Daytona Beach is different, but this is going to, this use repeated puts into question, we're roping off the beach for a fairly large segment, puts into question the public's right of use, particularly at that location. I mean, you can't pass by it, as was said, at high tide. So
The only difference is that what gives me a problem is that it's almost like the $78 we're paying for the maintenance of Sunrail. Here we are having this great discussion over 13 days. When you're saying 39 is okay, but 13 additional is too much. And the reason I say that is because we don't have the policy in place. And in order for us to stop this and not have to continue to come here every year to approve, if we have in place that this is a policy, and this will, everyone that wants to have things on the beach, these are the numbers and the days and the ramifications as to how we will deal with that. And until we get that, To me, it just, I think for me, what is reasonable is the key. And what's reasonable to me is not reasonable to Josh. That's my point. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the tolerance.
No problem, ma'am. Mr. Daniels. On the record.
Ms. Seaman, I have a couple of questions. You know, when we talk about enclosing the beach, why are we enclosing the beach? Why can't people walk through this thing?
It's not necessarily enclosing as much as it is the perimeter pieces and the stage, which stays on overnight, or that's the proposal, that blocks that area when the tide comes in.
Now, what about, well, that brings up a point. What about U.S. Fish and Wildlife? Are they okay with this? Does this affect our take permit at all?
No, take permit goes to driving on the beach, and as long as we comply with our lighting ordinance.
Now, does this comply with our lighting ordinance?
The request to have lights on the beach after 9 p.m., I do not believe so, no, sir.
Well, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
It would be something I would have to defend, yes, sir.
Defend, what do you mean defend?
Well, if the Fish and Wildlife, if the U.S. Fish and Wildlife raised the issue, I would have to, if council were to grant it, I would have to defend council's decision to them and explain why it was in compliance. But at this point, it makes me very uneasy.
Okay, so it doesn't comply with our lighting ordinance. How can we approve something that doesn't comply with our lighting ordinance?
Well, I would believe the applicant would say to you that I am incorrect and that by putting down the sides of the tent, that the light would not be visible from the beach.
But the light is on the beach.
Well, therein lies the disagreement between two lawyers.
Well, if the light's on the beach, the light's on the beach. And that's what look, I was there when we drafted that damn thing. I know what it says. The other thing is this, the enclosing of the beach, I think is an issue. Lighting's a problem, and going after 9 o'clock is a problem. But the enclosing the beach would seem to be something that could be handled. You know, I don't know about moving the stage or anything like that, but let's stay away from that from right now. But if you're going to enclose not enclose, but if you're going to have the beach a certain number of feet away from the building, and you're going to let people walk through, so you haven't really enclosed it, you know, they can stroll through, take your kids, you know, do whatever. There's no cover charge, there's no nothing, you know, people can walk through. If you were taking that though as some sort of barrier, you know, they chart tides many years in advance. You would know what the tides would be and when they would be there.
You know high tide and you know low tide, but you do not know the extent of the tide on any given day.
You know, they've gotten a lot better about that.
Mr. Daniels, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I can tell you, the Beach Patrol has trouble estimating where the tide is going to be on any given day, and some of them have been down there a lot longer. You take your best shot, you put the signs up, you try to set the traffic lane, and then the tide starts coming in, and they're going down the beach, and they are moving those signs.
Well, you know, I'm a sailor, and one of the things you have to do to be able to sail a boat is know what the tides are going to be and how fast the tides are going to be moving, how high they're going to be or how low they're going to be. And I have to know that all the time. And it's not rocket science. It just isn't. Now, occasionally, I'll grant you this.
I was going to say, you do not want to start this story with me because I know things about your sailing ability.
You know, you've been talking to Patterson, hadn't you?
And Mr. Henderson.
Well, no, Henderson's never been with me.
Oh, not sailing. No, that was another boat.
Yeah, Henderson's always been scared. He heard Patterson's story and he won't go. But I didn't tell him that. Well, he heard somehow. He won't go. The thing though is that it is not rocket science. Indeed, there are tide tables. They're all over the place. There's all kinds of published information, and if you don't have it, I can show you where it is. The amount of water that is in a particular location is occasionally affected by the wind, but you can determine the wind or at least get some sort of prediction of the wind also. So this isn't something that is unknowable. You will occasionally have an event that is out of the ordinary, but it's not something that I think we should get ourselves tied up in knots about. The lights on the beach, though, I think are a concern. I don't think that we ought to be creating a reputation of pushing the limits of our permit with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and with DEP. I'm a bit concerned about that. The enclosure of the beach, I think we could probably handle. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with leaving things overnight. I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I think if you leave things overnight, then you begin to claim the beach for your own instead of just using it temporarily, which is what the whole idea is. But I would, and those are my issues.
I have very similar issues there, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Seaman, if I understand this correctly, this lighting issue at night
Yes, sir.
would require a environmental protection agency to sign off on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I understand that the applicant is asking us to do it first, and then he'll go get the other signature.
He's asking for permission to midnight, and then yes, that he would then go and ask U.S. DEP for
Okay.
authorization.
I have it on pretty good authority by somebody who I rely on greatly when it comes to these kinds of issues that says, I highly doubt that the DEP will sign off on it. So my suggestion would be that if he comes to us with a Department of Environmental Protection letter or permit, then I would be willing to address that issue again. But at this point, without that letter, I'm not willing to go down that garden trail. I'm more than happy to address the same issues that we did last year. Give them the same days we gave them last year. We've set that standard. We've opened that door, shall we say. We cracked that door and opened it all the way. And that's where I'm standing at. The 13 additional days, just not really feeling it. That's extra time on the beach and everything, like everybody's having to complain about, roping off the beach and all that. And this overnight thing, we just can't do that. So I'm willing to go with the agreement we had last year and the year before. I'd be more than happy to sign off on that one, but I just can't support these new issues coming forth. Mr. Lowry.
Thanks, sir. I just want to ask one quick question. How much public use does that section area of the beach get? I mean, some places are like covered up, some places are barren. Someone on the beach patrol or whatever, maybe enlighten me there. Is that heavily public used there?
You might want to add one thing in, Fred. If the ocean deck wasn't there, would there be anyone there?
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah. I'm telling you, if the ocean deck did not exist, there'd be nothing there.
You want testimony?
I'm unbiased.
I'm down there
just
at
wanted
least a couple
kind
days a
of
week, and there are a
wondered-
lot of people on the beach down there around the pier.
Yeah.
I surf there at least once or twice a week at the pier. And the ocean, I paddle down to the ocean deck and surf. What I'm telling you is, it's an active place. Admittedly, Fred, that's part of what's happening here is it's an activated part of the beach. What he's doing doesn't impede that, and these guys can attest to that. I think from a policing standpoint, from a use standpoint, I see the people down there all the time.
Yeah.
They're having fun. It's a positive thing.
Yeah.
That's all I was
The
thinking.
users. That's the part.
Hi. Mr. Wagner.
And that's what I was going to bring up, Brad, was it's an area of beach that is, it's not like going to one of these public lots where you have a lot of space to go. It's people that are literally either going there to eat and they're getting the private parking that they have, or they're paying to park to go, and if they're not going to the boardwalk area, they're going to the ocean deck. Like when I go there for lunch, I'll go there for lunch, and then there's just not a lot of people there during the week. I mean, there's some, like when there's events going on, and you got the volleyball nets up and stuff, but I think we're arguing over something that's so minimal of a few days, and they have to have the state permits to do the stuff they want to do, so I just don't, if we were getting arguments, has anyone on this council gotten a single email that they were trying to walk down the beach and the ocean deck was in their way? Have we as a county, have we ever gotten one? I've never heard of anything. Not once. So we argue this, I get it from a legal standpoint. Dan and Jamie are right. I mean, I get it from a legal standpoint. But in practicality, it just isn't happening. The best thing we could ever have happen is have 15 ocean decks and we finally get some person complaint, just like the lady with the ugly looking tree that she wants to save and it's 90% dead anyways. That the best problem we could ever have is someone would complain, because guess what? That means it's working. We're still not working because we're not getting any complaints. I can't be the only one that's thinking this. We need to have, these other places have great beaches. I was just in St. Augustine and last weekend, and it was insane down there. There's so many people, so much stuff going on. We need stuff like this to get the people. I ate and drank my way through St. Augustine. I can't eat and drink my way through Daytona Beach. There's nowhere to go. It's just not, we're not there yet. They do. They don't serve me anymore.
They reserve the right to refuse service.
But my point is, I don't want to get passionate over 13 days because it's 13 days. 13 days. I'm going to do it. What do you need this council to vote on so you can go to the state? Rob, you're the legal one here. I'm going to make a motion. I want to make sure it's the right one.
Well, there are just a couple of things that we were asking for in addition to what the manager has recommended and the staff has recommended, which is the 13 days instead of 9, midnight. I mean, the bar can be open till 3, right, within 2 feet away. And there's one other thing, I'm sorry.
Leaving the stage on the beach overnight.
That's true. And when we say leaving the stage on the beach overnight, it's solely for the events that are 2-day events or 3-day events.
And you have to get approval from the state to make it safe
on
for you.
on all counts.
But
Okay, hold on, Rob. Rob, that is not what the application says. The application,
Yeah.
and I emailed you to clarify this,
Okay.
that if the event went till midnight, the stage was not coming off the beach until 11 a.m. the next day.
Right. That's
So
correct.
it's for all events.
For all
The
events,
stage-
it would be the next day. Correct.
Yes, for
Next
all
morning.
events, it would be the next day. For the 2 days event, it would be 3 days. For the 4-day event, it would be 5 days.
Right. So between midnight and
Yeah,
11
but
in the morning is
but-
the
well,
same thing we talked about last
let's
time.
let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. Here's a big difference. Mr. Daniels touched on it, and this is why it's not about the 13 days. Is that one, the lights are the lights. I mean, it's either an issue that they can't do or they can. I mean, that's going to be an interesting argument.
Correct.
Because as Mr. Daniels said, it says on the beach, so that'll be interesting. But the other part is the difference between the application before and this one is that the time that the stage, it's a big stage, occupied the beach for a period of time has significantly increased. And that's the heartache, I think, that in all seriousness from your law department, is that someday, because the thing I'm sure of is no matter what days get approved, the next request will be more days. That's what this is all about. Every request will be more. And it's not just the days, it's that each time it's now the stage is on for 3 days. That means 3 days in a row before they take it off. Then it's 4 days. And what I think, Mr. Daniels, I really do think you've got to look at this. I don't think the heartache for us is as much as the event on the beach. It's that we are now starting to put equipment on the beach for longer and longer periods of time until someday someone will claim you gave up ownership. Now, if I'm saying this wrong, tell me. That's what they're worried about, because then you'll have a council here saying, when did we give up the ownership? And that's what's the problem. It's not the event, it's not the 13 days.
That legal argument will never work.
Well, I'm not,
because you're not going to get it through. How are you going to win that argument? Play devil's advocate with me.
I'm not the attorney.
You're telling me by us allowing them to get a permit to use the beach, which they're asking our permission for, that over that use, that eventually they can make an argument that we are giving that beach away? There's no way you'd ever win that. You can't win that argument.
Mr. Wagner, with all due respect,
Say it how
that
it is.
property
I'm
owner,
okay.
that property owner, the underlying property owner, which is another gentleman, by the way, owns to the mean high water mark. Owns to the mean high water mark.
Okay.
The public has a customary right of use to use the same property that he owns. If that use is interrupted, we lose that customary use.
So you're telling me by him asking permission, now, like if I build a fence on my neighbor's yard and and my neighbor knows about it,
This is the beach.
and I give permission,
No, sir, this is the beach. It's a different issue. It's not the same as
you're
any other.
creating policy by, this is the one, and with all due respect, I feel like anytime we have this issue, policy is being created by legal, and I don't like it.
I'm
I
not
don't
trying
think
to
it's
crit-
right.
I'm
I
not-
just don't. I feel like policy is being created.
Mr. Wagner, I'm not creating policy. I know, and I'm giving you our best legal opinion. You asked me to argue the other side, which is what I'm doing for you. You asked me to argue for you how it could be lost, and that is what I presented to you. That is what the person would argue. We did litigate this in 1990 in New Smyrna Beach, where a gentleman did fence off the beach. He did attempt to do this.
Did you
We
give him? Did we give him permission to fence off the beach? Did he come in this meeting and ask for 40 days and it went to 53?
Mr. Botts
That's evidence.
Hold on. Mr. Botts is not asking for permission to fence off the beach. Mr. Botts is asking permission to serve alcohol. That is the only reason why he is here before this council right now. Other than that, he would not be here. So what you are granting is the alcohol, nothing else.
So how would that ever
So-
come into play for as a taking of him being able to say this is our property? I don't. I just think
No,
it's
it really is not no more than that, because other than that, the staff could approve the event, and the staff could set the conditions, and the staff could say, take the equipment off the beach.
that I did.
It would not be here but for the alcohol.
So we're sitting here talking about turtle lining and fences and
Because he's
13
making
days.
that part of all of this.
I didn't know that. That the
I don't-
alcohol is the part.
That is, you make two decisions on special events. You make two decisions. You make decisions on alcohol, and you make decisions on putting, on vehicles, shutting down the beach to vehicles. Those are the two decisions you make under special events. Other than that, your beach director has the authority. Your manager is telling you that as the beach director's boss, he would not allow the stage on the beach overnight. He would say this is too many days.
And our argument is, what is too many? And that's where all this comes from, is we don't have a policy, and we've had this discussion every, I've been
Every
on the
year.
council for, this will be my 8th time having this discussion.
Time for policy.
That's
I'm
what
all
I'm
for
saying,
policy.
but it's, are we gonna sit here and go in a circle every
Well-
13 days? Let's, I'm gonna make a motion. You stated what we needed that fell within those parameters. The only thing I'm adding to it is that we're also gonna have a discussion on the policy within 3 months. Is that acceptable? Deb, to that discussion.
Okay, so you need to be clear on the motion then.
Say it again, please.
I want you both to be clear on exactly what it needs to be. Do you want to say it and you correct? Or do you want to say it and you correct?
I will go ahead and tell you what the application is, most
Okay.
certainly. The application is for a total of 52 days of events with alcohol on the beach.
Okay.
And he would like to be able to operate the function with the alcohol on the beach till midnight and leave the equipment on the beach overnight.
For only the days that are shown on the calendar for that purpose.
Does
The
there-
overnight part, just to be clear, Josh, the 11 a.m. thing, that was from back in January.
Oh, yeah,
So-
we did.
so
We
we're
had that
just-
long
but-
discussion.
But the question about keeping it for more than that were the events that he just wanted to be taking it down every day for 3 days.
Understand.
And by the way, the stage that he's built, he had custom made, is DEP compliant. It's up to the turtles to have a place to crawl through if they want to. So it's, from a compliance standpoint, we don't have an issue in that.
I remember that discussion about the turtle compliance
Does there need to
stage.
be anything else as far as the compliance issues?
My understanding is that's the application, and that's that's the request that they're coming to you.
But the issues, the lighting issues, things like that,
That's not in our jurisdiction. That's DEP, right?
To
Then-
the
Is that
extent-
on
to the ex-
ours?
To the extent that we have to get permission from Fish and Wildlife for the light, we have to do that. if that's something that needs to be done. We're DEP compliant. No lights. He says no lights now.
No lights.
So that would be a variation from the request, Jamie, because we did ask for the lights to be there till midnight.
Josh, the reason you say about removing the equipment, because I do not believe as manager I have the authority, unless you grant it, because my rule to them is everything gets off the beach. You know, we will actually remove stuff. So unless you've approved it, that's the only time we allow people. My rule to them is everything gets off the beach. You know, we will actually remove stuff. So unless you've approved it, that's the only time we allow people to leave stuff for long periods of time.
I'm just glad Marianne Connors is not here as part of this conversation. Oh, look who walked in.
Oh my gosh.
Hat walked in.
No, she didn't walk in with a hat.
And I'm gonna move this.
She's got one of those
Go
hats
before
that
she gets a
Jamie
yellow
walked-
sheet. Quick.
I'm in trouble.
So moved.
She's not a citizen. She is.
So moved with the addition of a discussion item in front of this council within 3 months on a policy related to.
Well, I would dare say the motion on the floor would be for approval or disapproval of the permitting. Then we can direct staff.
Okay.
Afterwards.
So moved.
So the motion on the floor is for approval of the permit as requested.
Without lighting.
Without lighting. And I have a second from Ms. Cusack. Very well. Mr. Deneen, would you like to speak to that motion?
I need to clarify something, Rob. When you said without lighting, the old rule was 9 o'clock, right? You're saying up till 9 o'clock, right? Is that what you mean? You need to clarify
The request was
that.
9 to 12, and they'll turn the lights off at 9.
Mr. Botts?
I don't think you meant no lights. I think you meant up to 9.
I meant to withdraw the request for the lighting that went beyond the recommendation to what was requested.
So what you're saying is he's going to have lights on the stage until 9 o'clock and unplug it, and then midnight you get
He
just...
still has lights on his...
Yeah, you're going to have lights at the club. I've been there. It's pretty bright outside.
Well, I mean, it's shielded. So the standard is, and Doug knows it, if you're standing on the beach near the shoreline, you can't see a light. Well, you see ambient light everywhere. It's apparent, but you have a shield over it. He's got a tent over it, but we'll still take it off.
Now, Blair Witherington would take issue with you on that.
I know Blair, and I understand.
All right, Mr. Daniels.
If you're ever out there with Blair, what you can do is you can get Blair and you can get him to say a light violates the turtle lighting ordinance, and then you can turn him around and get him to say it doesn't. And that's the standard in the state of Florida, is what Blair Witherington is thinking in this very moment. It's the most unscientific science garbage I've ever heard. But anyway, that's just me.
Is that with or without Jack?
That's what?
Is that with or without Jack?
Well, I don't know if Blair drinks. He doesn't look like the type, but he could probably use some. He's pretty tight. But it is our ordinance, and I do think that we need to enforce it until cooler heads prevail. I am in trouble about the things staying out on the beach, particularly overnight. And if the legal staff brings up a very good point about people wanting to claim the beach, but I do think that what we'll wind up having is people using the beach more and more for this kind of purpose. And so what I would suggest you do as part of this is we have the landlord sign off on your Jabalux easement that says that they give up what? No?
No, I would love that, but I don't think the property owner would be willing to do that.
Well, then they don't get the permit. I don't care. Means nothing to me. If the property owner doesn't sign it, then his tenant doesn't get it. Big deal.
Sign what?
Sign the easement saying that the public's got the right to use the beach and he's not going to restrict it. Jamie, tell him what all the stuff he put in there is absolutely amazing.
It's amazing, but does anybody else agree to that?
Yes, they do.
Basis.
Hard Rock did.
I see.
Hard
And
Rock,
if
Hard
you-
Rock dedicated the beach.
if
This
you-
was not part of this was not, that's a different ordinance. This had nothing to do with the taking cars off the beach ordinance. Hard Rock, as part of their development, dedicated the beach to the public.
So in other words, what you're saying is his rights to the mean high water would be relinquished to the extent that it's in between his business and the Mean High Water.
Indeed,
Correct.
indeed.
I think that's.
Well, then, don't do it.
I
I
don't know
don't
that
care.
that applies to what we're asking for here. I don't
Yeah,
know it's
it-
necessary.
Then don't do it.
Pardon me? Okay.
No, we're here to protect the public's right to the beach, and we're not gonna back off, or at least I'm not as long as I'm here, which won't be that much longer. But, I'm not backing off of that, not 1 inch.
Miss Denny's.
No more reason for my comments. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Motion on the floor. Seems how the, do you think? Okay. Motion on the floor is for approval as applied for with no lights. Okay? Motion for approval on the floor made by Mr. Wagner, second by Ms. Kuzak. All those in.
Mr. Davis, those no lights are after 9 o'clock or no
Yeah,
lights?
no lights after 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, I forgot to clarify.
Okay.
Well, when I meant with internal ordinance lighting, so. Motion for approval of item 43A, special event for the Ocean Deck Weekends on the Sand. No lights after 9. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Denny's? Or you just didn't clear, did you press your button? I was going for the, no, I mean your light. Okay. Motion for approval of special event, Ocean Deck Weekends on the Sand. No lights after 9. All those in favor, please signify by aye. All those, two, Ms. Kuzak and Mr. Wagner. And all those opposed?
Aye.
And motion fails. Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Where do we stand with the fallback position?
There we go. That's where you stand right there, Ms. Kuzak. She was hitting the button before I could get
As
the
I'm going,
motion
the votes aren't
through.
there.
The votes-
She had already hit the button.
She'd hit the button.
She knew.
Yes, Ms. Kuzak, would you like to say something? Can we do it on the record, please, dear?
Push your button.
Wait a minute, I find what I'm trying to do. That's item number 43A.
43A.
I would move the approval of the Ocean Deck Weekend on the Sand as indicated in item 43A.
Isn't that the same motion?
I thought it's different.
Oh, okay.
The motion before said.
Okay, the motion
increase
is,
days. The one that I have, just an explanation of the motion, sir. It says what the staff has indicated that they
Oh,
can
the
agree
staff.
with.
okay. Okay, so the motion now is for approval of item 43A, event, special event, Ocean Deck, Weekends on the Staff, as recommended by staff. Am I correct?
39.
Is there a second to that motion? Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Ms. Denny's, discussion on this matter.
Clarification.
It's totally different. There's not an additional 13 days. The equipment comes off the beach, and there are no lights on after turtle hours, 9 o'clock. Same as last year. It's the same thing we approved last year, the year before, and I think the year before.
Just last year.
Not just last year. Staff recommendations.
Okay, okay, so I don't know if it's just because it's almost 5 o'clock everywhere.
It is.
Almost.
It's 4
almost.
minutes till 5 everywhere.
Okay, so this previous request we just had, the item,
Was their request with an additional 13 days, party with lights on stage on the beach for the 3 days?
so there were
complete-
2 requests. So the first one fails, you go back to Plan B.
Right.
Which is staff's recommendation.
Staff recommendations and
And,
approval.
and you're comfortable with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Staff made it.
And we're not blockading off the sides like we just saw?
It comes down every night.
Even if it comes down, are we still not blockading that off? Mr. Eckert, are we still not obstructing the beach?
For the record, sir.
I hit the wrong button for a moment. The, we have the same concern, but you know, the question is the public feel free to come and use that portion of the beach? And last year, we recommended because he took down the side, the fence. You're trying to have crowd control by different means. It's not perfect, but we thought it was a reasonable balance until you tried to make policy. And so we're true to our word, what we agreed to last year. Would the staff, you know, the staff started out with a recommendation last year that was much below this. But, so would we have less concern if there are a fewer number of days and a greater ability of the public to feel free to use that beach to put their blanket there? We would be, but we met last year and early in the year. We said the gentleman proposed this as a compromise. We haven't adopted an ordinance yet, and so we're sticking to our word.
Okay. This is what we approved last year, Council. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Lowry.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say I want to approve this because I think we're being a little bit unfair to try to change things here last second until we get a policy in place. And I think the will of this group that I've understood today is that we will not be doing this next year. We'll have a policy in place by the end of that. I think that's what needs to be happening. Thank you.
Exactly. Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none. All right, all those in favor of special event Ocean Deck Weekends on the Sand, as per what we approved last year, which is the staff recommendations, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. And that carries 7-0. The previous one failed. Mr. Wagner and Ms. Cusack were for it, and everybody else opposed. Okay. And that would conclude the business at hand. We do have some nominations and appointments. Ms. Cusack, you and I have three nominations for the Contractor Licensing and Construction Appeals Board. I thought I did 3 of them last week.
I think you had, Mr. Chair, I
That
think
might
we
have
had
been
more
for
than.
affordable housing. We had a similar type.
Oh, okay. So, all right. And District 2, 4, and 5, you all each have one nomination available. So I shall defer to Ms. Cusack. Do
Thank you,
wish to
Mr.
make
Chair.
a appointment?
I would move for a continuance, please.
Okay. There's a motion for a continuance. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mr. Lowry. All those in favor of continuing Ms. Cusack, please signify by aye. All those opposed? We'll call that unanimous, 7-0. Okay, we will now move on to District 2. Mr. Wagner.
I'm not contacting any of these people.
I looked at, I had someone set aside that was Alan Kajacob.
Kajacob? Okay, Alan Kajacob, architect, has been
I went through his application.
nominated by Mr. Wagner for the Contractor Licensing and Construction Appeals Board. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No one. Except Mr. Okay. Oh, so be it. All righty. Let's see. District 4, Mr. Daniels.
Move continue.
I have a motion for a continuance. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Second for Ms. All those in favor of continuance for Mr. Daniels, please signify by aye. All those opposed? So carried. And now we move to District 5.
Yes, I'll put forward Michael Wojtuniak.
Michael Wojtuniak. Okay.
Get hurt saying that one.
I'm telling you. I almost strained myself. Michael Wojtuniak, nomination for Contractor Licensing and Construction Appeals Board. All those in favor signify by aye. All those opposed? And so carried. Come back to the county chair. Mr. Patterson, I pass the gavel to you. This is on contractor licensing. And my nomination is, I have three of them, Mr. James Jones.
Mr. Chair, you have a nomination for the Contractor Licensing Board.
I have three. I will nominate James A. Jones.
We have a nomination for James A. Jones. Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, show the motion. Approval of James A. Jones.
And
Another one? You don't
I
have-
will take all three of mine. Mr. Brett Bearden.
We have a nomination for Mr. Brett Bearden from the chair. Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, show the motion passes.
And Michael McDonald as
Another motion from the chair regarding Michael McDonald for the Contractor Licensing Board. Is there any objection to the motion? Without objection, show the motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. And now we will move on to the Tourism Advertising Board, District 2, Mr. Wagner. What in the world is this?
District 2.
District 2 is Mr. Wagner. You have, sir?
This is requesting a reinstatement or appointment.
Sarah Patel.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
They've done an excellent job. Sarah Patel is my recommendation.
Okay. So what you're asking for is reappointment of Sarah Patel. Motion by Mr. Wagner to the West Volusia Advertising Authority. All those in favor signify by aye. All those opposed. So carried, so done. All righty. Is there any other business to come before this council this afternoon?
There's some other appointments, Mr. Chair.
There is? I don't have it on my...
Sorry, this is for the April 21st meeting. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. The list we distributed is for April
I'm getting
21st
excited, yeah.
and some other appointments
Relax,
where we
sir.
don't have any applications.
What about the cultural thing? You know, there was I had an appointment for, George
Cultural-
Pappas. I wanted to reappoint George
Cultural
Pappas.
Council is coming at the next meeting.
Next meeting?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, is there any other business that needs to come before this council?
Think down there.
Business-wise, before, oh, yeah, hey. Yes, Miss Jamie Seaman.
I just handed out a resolution for you all. March 17th, at your council meeting, you approved a joint participation agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for the Mosquito Lagoon Reasonable Assurance Plan. There was supposed to be an Exhibit C attached to that did not get uploaded. That Exhibit C was this resolution that DOT requires, authorizing council to sign a joint participation agreement. It's a formality that DOT requires. You sign the agreement and you sign a resolution saying you're going to sign the agreement. We need to clean this up for the record, so if you all could approve this resolution, and we will attach it to Exhibit C, as Exhibit C to that joint participation agreement. Would like a motion, please?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion for Mr. Daniels, a second for Mr. Patterson. Further discussion, Mr. Patterson? Or is that an accidental? That's an accidental. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by aye. All those opposed. So carried. You want me to sign this one, or?
Yes, sir.
I will sign it as we speak. Okay. If there's any other further business that needs to come before us. This one? Oh, okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Eckert.
this could wait now, and could go now, or wait until my comments at the end, at your preference, but if I barge ahead, probably very few members of the council remember that there is an East Volusia Transportation District, where the district was formed for purposes of funding VOTRAN, which expanded countywide probably in 1995 or so. The district has not been utilized for the purpose of rendering taxes in some time. There is a fee that is paid by the county to maintain it. I think the idea was that we would hold on to the district and utilize it, perhaps if countywide service did not become the success that it has. We would propose, if with your concurrence, to bring before you an ordinance which would repeal the district the effect of it is that the tax would be levied countywide as it is today. So with your authorization, or at least without objection, we'll bring to you an ordinance to that effect a few meetings from now.
Is there any objection? What? What is worth?
Did you get it? This is worthy noting, and I think the media, so they get it in time, is the state has already replied to our recommendation, and they're moving on it immediately. It's all in your emails, as far as putting up a, we're gonna put up a temporary traffic light and do the roundabout.
If I may, one moment, I'd like to finish the business that Mr. Eckert, then we'll go right into that discussion.
We don't usually get this.
Yeah, I know. I understand you're excited. He's excited. Yay.
This was excellent.
Is there any objection to staff bringing forth an ordinance to remove the Transportation Authority? Am I correct? It's called Transportation Authority. Is there any objection?
No.
Okay, I see no objection. Please bring it forth. Mr. Wagner.
Well, you have the letter.
I know. I don't have a laptop.
And sorry about that. It's just usually we don't.
He just got so excited. So you know
I
what?
couldn't quite tell you why you were getting so excited about the.
I know.
Usually we don't get something.
This is really worth reading. I was like, man, this has got to be an exciting, authority. Holy cow.
I applaud the state. This is excellent. I applaud the council and the
Yeah.
sheriff.
And they renamed that station quickly too.
Yeah. It's already been renamed.
That's
Okay,
a
here
different letter coming later.
Okay. All right, Ms. Cusack, do you have any closing comments so we can get out of here and go to the house?
Turn the record, cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to invite all of you to the concert that's being sponsored by Bethune-Cookman University on Sunday afternoon. There's a reception, and I think you probably, did everyone get a copy of the invitation? Yes, that's it. I would encourage you, as a trustee of that board, I would certainly love to see you there. The reception is from 2 to 3:30 on Sunday, with the concert beginning at 4 o'clock at the Performing Arts Center on Bethune-Cookman campus. Thank you. And I have another concern for Mr. Deneen as it relates to the cemetery in Glenwood. Did you have any results on that yet,
George,
or you need more?
I don't know if George has an answer yet. I didn't have a chance personally to talk to George about it.
Okay. Well, maybe at the next meeting we can.
We
have
will
a
definitely have an update.
Question about that.
We will.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cusack. Mr. Daniels, closing comments, sir.
A couple of things, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Let's see, tomorrow morning in these very chambers will be the Indian River Lagoon Council meeting, starting at 9:30 and going until whenever it gets over, which is usually around lunchtime. People get hungry. That is we don't serve lunch, and I made that a firm rule when we started this, just to be sure that it ended within a reasonable amount of time. All of you come and watch and see what goes on, and there's a great deal of public participation at these meetings, so if anybody has any ideas about what to do, you feel free to stand up and say what they are. I do have a question, and Mr. Storch was here earlier, and I probably should have grabbed that boy at the time, but Deep Creek was supposed to be open to the public some time ago, and it is not, I gather, even right now. And I have been wanting to take my kayak down there, throw it into Deep Creek, and dodge alligators down to the St. Johns River. And I have not been able to do so far. I mean, when am I going to be able to do that?
We just happened to have a meeting with Mr. Storch and Michelle Reber and Keely West of the Water Management District tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I should have an answer for you shortly after that.
Okay, tomorrow at 1, but, you know, I'd like for maybe like next weekend to be able to put something together, you know, so if you could just rush it up a little bit. It's been 3 years. It's, you know, it's time to get. Just reporting on a couple other things. I went over to the Central Florida Regional Planning Council meeting. I don't know if this is of any use to anybody, but it may have some application to the local option sales tax for transportation. They have some Jabalux program over there that they're very proud of, that you feed in the data and it can color code roads and sidewalks and show where your priority needs are. Might be useful, might not. I don't know if the TPO does that kind of thing, or if they've been in touch with the Regional Planning Council or anything like that. I've not talked to Lois about it at all. But it's a pretty good tool because, and I'm sure it's not the be-all and end-all, because it is computer generated and you're going to have to make adjustments around the edges. But it does things like take where you got schools and, you know, and where you've got neighborhoods around schools and where you don't have sidewalks, and makes them a priority, that type of thing. It seems to be a fairly sophisticated, fairly impressive tool. The other thing is I went to the Central Florida Leadership Forum and over at the airport in Orlando, and it was about foreign trade, and I have never quite felt so out of place in my entire life. I mean, those boys over there are wired tight to get into the foreign trade business and get into it in a big way. And I was sitting there with absolutely nothing useful to say, or, you know, I couldn't even think of any, you know, nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, we may want to begin to tie in with them a little bit better. The speakers list was very impressive, you know, ex-congressmen and all that kind of thing. It was really well put together and very informative, but I wish I could think of some application to Volusia County, but I cannot. It's just that, you know, there's work to be done between here and there. Just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Denny's. Closing
Nothing,
comment?
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lowry, closing comment?
Yeah, just one thing real quick. I wanted to ask, because I was checking the action of the DeBerry Council and digging and getting some background information. Before I came on the council, I believe there was an agreement between the county and the St. John's in regard to that 102 acres of land over by Gemini Springs, and the original deal was that the county would maybe get that deeded to them in order to expand the spring and maybe for some bayou cleanup, and that seems to be changing. And I've been asked, you know, were we informed on that? Did we know about it? I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I just wanted to throw that out because there seems to be a lack of transparency there, and also seems to be actually a conflict of interest, because the guy doing the Pegasus is the head of the St. John's board, and that seems to be a conflict of interest. So there's been some concern there, and I just wanted to raise that for us to consider.
I'd like Jamie to answer this, because their manager, which has never happened before, actually sent me some correspondence.
You're correct. That was property that was owned by the Water Management District that we manage the recreational component. We have a joint management agreement with them. 3 years ago, the county council voted for all of the lands that the district had declared to be surplus, that we would accept them. That property was on the list and the district had declared it surplus. In December of this year, we received an email from the Water Management District that said that everything was on hold and they were reassessing the situation. We have been trying to determine what's going on, because at the same time we were contacted by DeBerry. Their consultant for TOD was talking about using that piece of property for their stormwater, to which staff expressed their concern and the desire.
That could affect the spring.
So
Yeah.
we were somewhat aware, we just became aware this week, that DeBerry was making a formal request that the title be transferred to them, or at least that's what we're hearing, but I have not seen anything in writing. This is just what I'm hearing. We informed the manager reached out to DeBerry, and the DeBerry city manager has asked for a sit-down. So we're hoping to address that issue along with some other issues related to their TOD to get a better understanding of what DeBerry is asking for and how it affects Volusia County and our assets in their area.
We're going to meet with them, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, awesome. One last thing, Mr. Patterson used the term choo-choo today. Is that an acrostic that I've not come across yet in my new experiences here on the council?
Oh, now you did.
I will say that years ago, back in the 90s, when I first got involved with rail transportation, there was a county commissioner over in Hillsborough County. I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Taranachik. And they dubbed his nickname because he was so hot on rail. They started calling him Choo Choo Taranachik. So that's where that came from.
I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Oh, boy. Mr. Patterson, do you have any further comments besides stories about Choo Choo Taranachik?
I do have a couple of things. You know, I brought up earlier the thing regarding and I see Kelly and Ginger headed down here on the what's going to be happening on June 30th regarding the DOH, the licensing for disposal of septic tank trash, and probably we need to just get on it to start looking at to see what is going to be happening, because we could have a real problem here. We only have one facility in Volusia County that can take this, according to what they are telling me. So
what we're going to do is we'll get into it maybe further another day when we have more time, but we're actually going to look at whether there's an opportunity maybe to expand. The big issue here is you make it too expensive or you cause enough problem and people will dump it. And then we really have done nothing but hurt ourselves. So I'd rather wait until we have a little more time to talk about it, but we are going to explore whether there's some other opportunities.
I'd like to get ahead of the curve, because
that's exactly
it's not something we really have an option on.
Right.
Because we don't have any way to handle the waste, and I don't want it coming in from out surrounding counties, and you know, this could be a real problem for us. So
let us look at that and try to come back.
Yeah, that's it. The other thing I have, and the manager and I were talking about this, there's been some issues with our three advertising authorities, and I really think that we probably need to sit down and have a meeting with them so that everybody understands what their responsibilities are and what our responsibilities are to them, because I think there's some confusion as to you know, that maybe we're overreaching and getting involved in their business, and I think they need to understand what responsibilities we have and the liability that we have. So if that's okay with the council, they can.
Yeah, I'd like.
I think a workshop would be
my
best.
suggestion to Mr. Patterson was, I really do believe that we do need a workshop with them face to face. I think there is definitely some pushback, and from the administrative side, I think you need to hear them, what they have to say, but I think I need real clear guidance in front of them as to what level of involvement we're going to have, because we have gotten involved in, you know, the way job descriptions are written, salaries are classed against the job descriptions. Our law department's been very involved in their legal issues. We did that investigation because we believed we had to. I think it would be healthy, not a fight, but healthy for us to have a work session, not here, just to talk, because if we continues the way it is, all we're going to do is get misunderstanding and resentment, and I think they really want to meet with us too. So we ought to talk about what that involvement is. I'll do that maybe at the next meeting, what we're already doing, and then I think it'd be healthy and productive to have a face-to-face with them.
Well, I think there's some fear amongst them that and this has happened for years. I remember going back to when I was in the legislature, and they were screaming at me saying that there was a shell bill, which was to consolidate all the advertising authorities in Volusia County, or that the county was going to take it over. And I kept saying there was never a shell bill out there. There was always a shell bill that was related to tourism, but it had nothing to do with them. But there's always been that fear. But there's also this fear that we're trying to take them over, and I want them to have that comfort that we just have certain things that we could have some liability for, and we don't really want to put the county taxpayers at risk for what goes on.
If you allow, my recommendation is you allow me to work with you to schedule something.
Can I just make a caveat to that too? We had, as a council, I don't think we said it as a policy, maybe we did, we agreed, and this was with the Southeast Volusia Ad Authority. When their executive director left, we asked for an exit audit, and we said anytime there's a change, we need to do an exit audit.
No, she's
We
right.
said that. We were in agreement with that. There has been a change
We need to have
at
that
the Halifax Ad Authority, and I think that kicks in an exit audit.
We can consider that. You're right, but these are the kind of things that I think there are some people that believe that that's interference by us.
That's not interference, that's policy, and that's called due diligence, and I'm not afraid of that one at all.
But once again, if we have this face-to-face, that'd be helpful, and we'll look at getting the exit audit done.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Mr. Manager. I agree with you. The exit audit has to happen because that's what we said, and if it's good enough for Southeast Volusia Ad Authority and any other ad authority where there's controversy, we've got to be the same across the board. And we as a council had said,
We'll get it done.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wagner, closing comments?
Short. Jim, you know that program we started talking about, the bus passes? If they're already buying bus passes, nonprofits, they fit certain categories to do it again. I was contacted by Salvation Army because they already buy bus passes. Can I give them your information
Yes.
to see if that one fits?
Yes.
Do you want me to, how do you want me to get it to? Email it, or you want me to?
Yes, just email it to my secretary.
All right, I'll do it right now. All right, and then coming up soon is the Boys and Girls Club Steak and Steak Dinner. On behalf of me and Deb, we'd like to ask the council to do a small table.
Sponsored table,
A
yes.
sponsored table, if we could. Not the high one. The high one's $5,000. Maybe the $2,000 one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to do the $5,000 one. Don't get me wrong, but it's a great organization. It's unbelievable what they do.
It is.
I'll leave it to you. Do you want to do the main one?
Yeah, the council having the county sponsor a table at the Steak and Steak Dinner for Boys and Girls Club. Thanks, Josh, for doing
Which
that.
level?
I think
Which
the
level?
$2,000
The
level, I think, is
2,000, okay.
appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate as well. The 5 would be asking a little much, considering what we already do. Do I need a motion for that? Or can
Yeah,
I-
you do.
Yes, you will need a motion.
Motion
So
for
moved.
2,000
Oh,
do it.
go- no,
Do
you-
the motion.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, he's making the motion, or are you making the motion?
He made it.
You made it.
You made the motion, or he made the motion?
Or he
He
can.
made it and I seconded.
Okay, you made the motion to expend $2,000 for a table at the Steak to Steak Dinner for the Boys Ranch. Seconded by Mr. Wagner. Is there any further?
Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club, I'm sorry. Boys and Girls Club, my fault. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by aye. All those opposed? So carried, 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Is that it, Mr. Wagner?
That's it.
You know,
So, looking easy.
I've got a few things this evening, which is very unusual for me. I usually don't have anything. And I'm surprised, Mr. Wagner, you didn't say this. You didn't go into any elaborations. But the letter from the Department of Transportation
Weren't you gonna read it?
from...
I was gonna, yeah,
Jim
I was,
gonna read it.
Oh, you were going to read it. Okay,
gonna
never
put it
mind,
into-
then I will skip that part.
I didn't want to take his thunder.
Oh, I wanted to. I always take his thunder. Yes, a couple of things still have a couple of things. DC, I've been requested, where's Miss Smith? Arlene Smith. There you are. Hi, Miss Arlene, and I have been working with Rick Carl and all, and Miss McGee, and we will be heading up to DC to see what we can talk about, some water issues up there and some other things. She has an agenda of items that we will be discussing with the congressmen and senators to try to get things handled. Sunrail is not on that issue. That was going to be one of our issues, but I guess it's not because we didn't get the resolution going today. So, letting everyone here know on the council that we'll be going up to DC and we will be back on the 21st. We'll be leaving on the 18th, roughly 18th. We'll be there for the 19th, sitting with our lobbyist and working with them to get all the meetings set up and everything like that. So that's we're going up for that.
Well, I think what the council needs to acknowledge, we do this all the time.
Okay.
They need to acknowledge him traveling up there for your sake for this purpose.
Okay, acknowledged. That's what.
No, the council needs to.
The council needs to acknowledge. How does the council acknowledge?
They need a motion.
I think
Need a
what you're
motion.
looking, Mr. Chair, I think what you're looking for is a motion to authorize out-of-county travel to the.
Okay, right. Okay, because that's okay. Very well. I don't go there that often.
I know, that's why.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion, but I can pass. Thank you, Miss Denny's made the motion, and second by Miss Cusack. Further discussion. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. So carried. Thank you. Okay, I didn't know we had to do a motion. I understood it to be just.
That's
I had
the
to acknowledge.
appropriate way for all parties involved.
Mr. Chair, when
Madam.
when the manager's out of the county, he appoints an interim manager?
Yeah, it's called the. Yes, and I have that too.
You do?
It's called the vice chair.
There you go. Okay, thanks.
So he'll be here. I'll be back by the meeting. In theory, now, Ms. Smith and I talked, there may be an issue of water or something, whatever we're trying to handle. We may be late on Thursday. So, I mean,
all right.
we're going to try to get back on Thursday. I don't know how this happened, but I ended up on the Department of Transportation's Ultimate I-4 Task Force. I have no idea. I just showed up. They said, hey, we want to give you a briefing. I said, great. And the next thing I know, I'm on the task force for the Ultimate I-4. They're looking at some funding issues over there, trying to get a lot more money. There's, so far, Ultimate I-4, according to the DOT and everybody, it's on track and on time. They're worried about the budget. The budget we may run over on. So they're working with that issue. They are going to be asking for a task force or a subcommittee of the task force in reference to the budget, which is, I guess, somebody else will be sitting on that one. I don't want to sit on that one. I got a lot of things going on this year. So anyway, so that's no really big news there. Just be careful of delays, and that's about it on that. And I agree with you, Miss Denny's. There needs to be an exit audit. I will agree with you. All right, with all that, that's all I got, Mr. Deneen.
Two really quick things. Donna, she needs to tell you something real quick, and then I have something to read into the record that this is another first for me in my career. I am so happy about what we did
We've got
today.
a couple of firsts today
This
for
is,
you.
yeah, this is amazing. Donna, tell them, you're going to like this news too. Go ahead, Donna.
So a little bit of good news. Donna DeMarsh Butler, Community Services Director. After I made the presentation to you all on the funding and what possibly could be shifted, what couldn't be shifted, I was asked to go with the manager and present at the elected officials roundtable. Good news report is we got contacted by the staff from the city of Holly Hill, and I confirmed it with the city manager when he was here today. They want to use their public service dollars, the 15% that's very flexible, and commit it towards homeless activities, primarily probably at Hope Place. So
Which
that
is-
could help with maybe the well for the community garden or the playground or something like that.
Partnership.
This is, well,
collaborate.
the beauty of this was that if we put those numbers together, and I think Joyce and I first saw the first reaction, people were shocked. And then we asked, they said, what can we do? We said, look at how your funding comes in. This is the first one that said, you know what, we'll rethink how our funding comes in and put it towards homelessness. And they were, and Holly was always
Ms.
at the
Cusack,
meeting too.
We need you on the record when you say things.
Holly Hill is very good about being partners with county government. We applaud them.
It's only about $13,000, but it's $13,000 that they could have been
Right.
using in their community, and they're choosing it.
Really like that. So I thought you really need to know the real positive. But this is hard to believe. If you remember this morning, I asked that I be allowed to put on the the issue with the update of where we were on the intersection together with the sheriff. And I felt it was really important, and I felt that it was good because we had already positioned ourselves to get ready to move and ask the state to do whatever they could. We sent the letter to the secretary, DOT, and here's the letter we just received. Dear Chair Davis, thank you for your letter and for your concerns expressed by you and the members of the council and Sheriff Johnson. Safety is the Florida Department of Transportation's #1 priority, and ensuring that our roads are safe for the traveling public is the most important factor in everything that we do. FDOT will be moving forward immediately with the design and construction of a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 44 and Grand Avenue. Next week, we will issue a competitive procedure for, quote, a design build, that's what we suggested, style project that will allow us to construct a roundabout as quickly as possible. We expect the process of procuring, designing, and construction of the project to take approximately 10 months. While this process is underway, FDOT will be installing a temporary traffic signal at State Route 44 and Grand Avenue. I've instructed our District 5 operations staff to work as quickly as possible to identify the safest and most effective type of temporary signal for this particular intersection. District 5 operations will also be reaching out to Volusia County engineering staff so that our respective teams can work together to resolve any issues related to a temporary installation. We are committed to working together with you, Sheriff Johnson, and other leaders in Volusia County on this very important issue. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or concerns. Yes, Jim Boxell, the secretary. I've gotten a reaction. I've seen councils getting a reaction on something. This is so serious. I've never gotten a reaction as a manager with a council signature on a letter so fast in my career. I really think that today we help people. So
What happens when you stick around 10 years, man?
That's right, you old man.
You actually get something done, huh?
That's right, finally.
That's all I had.
Jim,
Yeah.
great job bringing
Yeah.
it up.
Good job. And Mr. Patterson, you may see a temporary traffic light go up faster than you've ever seen it. So I'm hoping. Mr. Eckert, you have something to say?
Yes, sir. I also wanted to, I had another matter to report to you. You likely have seen discussion in the newspaper or heard from your appointees to the Charter Review Commission. The Volusia Growth Management Commission will be adopting rules of procedure, a request that you, on the 13th of April, they will be meeting to adopt recommended rules of procedure for you to consider, which the Charter Review Commission requests that you consider to avoid the necessity for a charter amendment. Subject to your direction, I would be bringing that to you on May the 5th. Obviously, it's not involves a matter of some policy, and it'll be an important discussion for you. But I wanted to alert you to that. They will not be finalizing those rules until the 21st, but we'll to be on your schedule for the 5th. We'll have to be preparing to advertise the title consistent with what we anticipate the draft to be. So if you have any questions or if you want to direct me otherwise, I welcome your comments or questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any public participation at this time, ma'am?
No, sir.
Very well. Our next meeting will be the 21st of April.
Correct.
Be here at 8:30 a.m. for public participation, 9 o'clock for county council meeting.
Even if you're not.
Even if I'm not, somebody will be here. So with that, is there objection to adjournment? Seeing no objection, we will be adjourned till the 21st of April.